At this moment, He Xinju no longer had any spiritual power to release to Hua. Bolts of lightning struck her body one after another. Wu Yun in the sky was very proud. This stinky girl had already exhausted all her tricks. She was about to die. It could finally avenge its previous humiliation. It could finally represent all the dark clouds to strike this stinky girl to death. He Xinjia's originally fair face was flushed red. It was obvious that she was about to reach her limit. She gritted her teeth and shouted coldly, "Earth Tower, if you don't come out today, as long as I don't die today, I will chop you into pieces. If you don't believe me, let's give it a try." After Yun Chujia's harsh words were released, there was no movement. It was obvious that Earth Tower was not worried about He Xinjia's threat. "Damn it. Come out now. Otherwise, I'll pour dog blood on your tower and right bastard tower on it." However, the Earth Tower still did not appear. Yun Chujio was discouraged. It seemed that this damn Earth Tower was determined to help Wu Yun deal with her. It was really detestable. It was fine if she died today, but if she could live, she would definitely not spare the Earth Tower. He Xinju looked at the jade plate hanging around her neck. Although the pretty boy was now very powerful, could he fight against heavenly thunder? If he was called here, would he be injured or lose his life? He Xinju hesitated for a moment, but she did not crush the jade plate. She sat cross-legged on the ground and gritted her teeth to persevere. "Master, Curly Hair asked you to let him out. He will help you carry him for a while," Xiao Hanio said with a complicated tone. Xiao Hanio had originally looked down on the Mengyan, which was an external beast. Moreover, he could see that Curly Hair had his own plans. He was not sincere enough to be the black-hearted master's spiritual pet. However, he did not expect that he would take the initiative to help his master resist the heavenly lightning today. It made him look at him in a new light. He Xinju quickly let the Mengyan out and asked, "Curly Hair, didn't you say that the heavenly lightning hurts?" Meng Yanshou replied righteously, "Although it's very painful, you can't do anything to me. I can still help you withstand it for a while." In fact, this guy was afraid that if something really happened to Yun Chuju, Di Baiming would not let it off, so he braced himself and pretended to be a hero. He Xinju did not know what Meng Yanshou was thinking and was extremely touched. "Curly Hair, don't worry. As long as I don't die this time, I will definitely help you find the kind of storybook that you want to read about a man marrying a bunch of women." Meng Yanshou was so happy that he could not find his bearings. He grinned and said, "All right, watch me. I will teach this damn Wu Yun a good lesson today. He actually dared to split you, little fairy. He is really tired of living." Wu Yun in the sky was a little dumbfounded. The thing that little girl summoned was a windblade rabbit? There was such a weak demonic beast in the immortal Yuan continent? What a joke. Wu Yun, who was in the sky, saw that Yun Chujio and the windblade rabbit were chattering, so he struck a bolt of lightning at Meng Yanshou. Meng Yanshou's shell once again died gloriously. Half of his soul condensed into the appearance of Meng Yanshou. He pointed at Wu Yun in the sky and cursed, "Damn it. How dare you strike the little fairy? I'll curse you to death." Wu Yun was dumbfounded. What the hell was that? Why were there all sorts of evil things around this smelly girl? However, no matter what the hell it was, just split it. Wasn't the giant purple pig from before also finished? Going against it would only lead to death. Rumble. Another bolt of lightning struck down towards the half-soul of the Meng Yanshou. Meng Yanshou gritted his teeth in pain. He felt that half of his soul was going to be burnt. He suddenly recalled the miserable scene of his real body being chopped into curly hair by He Xinjiu. It could only be said that the world was too wonderful. A few years ago, he had been chopped into curly hair by this black-hearted little girl. He did not expect that he would help her block the heavenly thunder now. Ouch. Ouch. It hurts so much. Damn it. Just you wait, Wang Banyun. I will deal with you sooner or later. Ouch, my head. Ouch, my butt. He Xinjiu looked at the Meng Yanshou, which was grimacing in pain. How could a half-soul like you have a headache and a pain in your butt? However, there was no time to ridicule the Meng Yanshou now. It quickly sat cross-legged and sorted out the brutal power of lightning in its body. The power of lightning was continuously injected into its dantian. As the great void mirror was still in hibernation, Guai Chao and the black bead were full. Especially the black bead. It was like a starving ghost reincarnating, constantly devouring the power of lightning. In less than an hour, the Meng Yanshou could not hold on anymore. Although it was not afraid of being struck by lightning, it was still half a soul. If it continued to be struck, it would probably enter hibernation. He Xinzhou quickly put Meng Yanshou into the spirit beast bag. After a short rest, she had already recovered a little, so her life wouldn't be in danger for the time being. However, judging from the situation, the heavenly lightning wouldn't stop for a while. If this continued, she would still die. He Xinzhou stared at the damned earth tower in front of her. It would be great if she could force it out. He Xinzhou rolled her eyes. She did not know whether the bait would work or not since it did not match anything. Let's give it a try. Hey, Earth Tower, how about we make a deal? As long as you let me hide in there, I will agree to whatever conditions you propose. Be it spiritual stones, gourmet food, or anything else you propose. Let me tell you, there will be no such shop after this village. Besides, it doesn't matter if you let me go in and hide for a while. Don't tell me that you, a mighty divine weapon, are afraid of such a small heavenly thunder? Just as He Xinzhou was mumbling, the Earth Tower appeared. 1 pill for 15 minutes. Do you agree? It's the same kind of pill that you refined before, a sharp voice said. Yun Chujia's eyes flickered. It turned out that it was the tool spirit of the Earth Tower who was laughing at her when she became small. No wonder Qi Ling knew that she had a pill. I agree. Let me in. We have money and goods. He Xinzhou said happily. Bring the jade token in. He Xinzhou immediately put the jade token in the groove of the Earth Tower. The door of the Earth Tower opened. He Xinzhou waved her finger at Wu Yun in the sky. Silly Yun, I'm going in. You can play by yourself. Wu Yun was so angry that she kept twitching, and several bolts of lightning struck the Earth Tower. Unfortunately, the Earth Tower disappeared with a swoosh, and Wu Yun was so angry that she was smoking. She kept hacking at the place where the Earth Tower disappeared. When He Xinzhou regained her sight, she found that she was in a desert, and there were a few sand sea fox wolves staring at her. This guy had long been familiar with the trick, so he only beat the few sand sea fox wolves half to death. This way, she could stay on this floor forever, in case of greater danger. The high-pitched voice sounded, according to the agreement, give me 1 pill. Otherwise, I'll send you out right now. I'll give you 2 pills. I'll rest for an hour before I go out, He Xinzhou said as 2 rejuvenation pills appeared in her hands. The pill in Yun Chujia's hand disappeared with a swoosh. Apparently, it had been taken away by the Qi Ling of the Earth Tower. Yun Chujiu did not care about what the Qi Ling wanted the pill for. She seized the time to sort out the brutal power of thunder and lightning in her body. Soon, an hour had passed. He Xinzhou was bounced out. The dark clouds in the sky were hacking around crazily. When they saw He Xinzhou coming out, they all hacked at He Xinzhou. He Xinzhou curled her lips and said softly, Bastard Yun, if you still want to save your face, you'd better get lost. Otherwise, you'll be beaten up by me until you have nothing left to live for. Wu Yun didn't want to listen to her and continued hacking crazily. When He Xinzhou couldn't take it anymore, she quickly let the Earth Tower put her in. When she had almost recovered, she came out to provoke Wu Yun again. Wu Yun was so angry that it trembled, but there was nothing it could do. It knew that it could only return empty-handed today, so it floated away while trembling. He Xinzhou let out a long sigh. She thought that she was going to die, but she did not expect the situation to turn for the better. He Xinzhou walked to the front of the Earth Tower and wanted to take the jade plate down from the groove, but she did not expect it to be sucked into the Earth Tower again. He Xinzhou was puzzled. What was wrong with the Qi Ling of the Earthen Tower? Why did it bring her in again? When He Xinzhou regained her sight, she found that she was in a stone hall. She looked around but did not find the Qi Ling, so she could only say, "Hey, Qiling, what's the matter?" Unfortunately, there was no response. He Xinjiu frowned and continued, "What's the matter? Come out now." There was still no response. He Xinjiu was furious. She held the kitchen knife and shouted, "Speak your mind. If not, I will chop down the Taoist school myself." If others saw this scene, they would definitely find it hilarious. A little girl with a big kitchen knife in her hand. Although she said fierce words, it made people feel that she was very cute. Of course, among these people, Qi Ling of the Earth Tower was not one of them. "Humph! Come out when you come out. Who's afraid of who?" A voice that was even more childish than He Xinjiu said. Seeing Qi Ling in front of her, He Xinjiu stumbled and almost collapsed on the ground. A moment later, He Xinjiu giggled and almost burst into tears. "Ha! Ha! You turned into a baby? You didn't eat all the rejuvenation pills that I gave you, did you?" He Xinjiu felt that it was a great relief. There was a baby lying in front of her. It couldn't even walk, and its saliva was dripping down. It was obviously teething. The baby had an angry expression on its face, but no matter how it looked very cute. "Stupid girl. It's all your fault. Otherwise, how could I have become like this? It's all your fault," Qi Ling of the Earth Tower said at the top of his voice. He originally wanted to become younger, but when he thought that He Xinjiu was much younger than him, he reckoned that one pill would not have any effect. Therefore, he swallowed the 5 rejuvenation pills that He Xinjiu gave him, and then he had become like this. He simply did not want to live anymore. He Xinjiu finally stopped laughing. She kicked Qi Ling with her foot, and Qi Ling was instantly sent tumbling several times. He Xinjiu laughed happily. "You deserve it. This is karma. Don't you know that I'm a wild goose that has plucked feathers? How dare you try to extort me? If you had let me in earlier, would you have become like this?" The tool spirit of the Earth Tower flew into a rage out of humiliation. Just as it was about to fly into a rage, it heard He Xinjiu say in a light voice, "Qi Ling, do you want to go against me? You can send me to any floor, or you can trap me here until I die. Of course, I have a large kitchen knife, so I can build my own door. However, if you want to stay like this forever, you can go against me. I won't reject anyone. You're very welcome. Little baby." Qi Ling was so angry that he fainted. Damn it! Damn it! Too damn it! It knew that this damned girl wasn't someone to be trifled with. It shouldn't have made a deal with her for the sake of her old appearance. This was simply asking for the skin of a tiger. No, she was more ferocious than a tiger. When Qi Ling woke up, he found that damned girl sitting on a small stool eating. Eat, 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 this good-for-nothing. She still wanted to eat at this time. "Hey, little baby, why are you staring at little sister? Do you want to eat too? Unfortunately, you only have 2 teeth. You can't eat these. Ha ha ha." He Xinjiu smiled brilliantly. She thought that she was miserable enough, but she didn't expect that the Qi Ling of the Earth Tower was even more miserable than her. She turned into a baby directly. Ha ha ha. Qi Ling gritted her teeth. Well, she could still bite 2 teeth. "Hurry up and give me the antidote so that I can return to my original appearance. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Yun Chujiu looked at the Qi Ling as if she was looking at an idiot. "First, your threat is ineffective against me. I'm worried about how to get in. I'm not worried about how to get out. I can use my kitchen knife to build a door at any time. Second, I don't have the antidote now. Do you think I won't eat it if I have it? Third, I hate it when people threaten me. If you know what's good for you, get lost. Miss, you haven't eaten your fill yet." Qi Ling couldn't do anything to Yun Chujiu. If it could turn back time, it wouldn't have invited the wolf into the house. Finally, He Xinjiu was full, squatting beside Qi Ling. She poked Qi Ling's little face with her finger. TSK, you're still young. Hey, I'm not going to waste time with you. Give me all your treasures. I promise I'll send them to you after I've developed the antidote." Qi Ling would rather die than surrender in the beginning. However, He Xinjiu did not care if Qi Ling was a baby or not. She did not show any mercy when she attacked Qi Ling, and Qiling quickly gave up. Qiling took out a bunch of defensive spirit tools and gave them to He Xinjiu. However, He Xinjiu now felt that these defensive spirit tools were of little use, so she took care of Qiling again. Qiling could only give He Xinjiu a jade token and a sheepskin scroll before He Xinjiu reluctantly let Qiling go. Before He Xinjiu left, Qiling begged with tears and snot, "Little fairy, once you develop the antidote, you must send it to me as soon as possible. Don't worry. I will definitely miss you," He Xinjiu said with a smile. However, this fellow was thinking in his heart, "Dream on. You dare to play with my little sister? I will torture you to death." When He Xinjiu was teleported out of the Earth Tower, it was already sunny outside, and the sky was clear. Other than the deep pits of different sizes on the ground, it was as if nothing had happened. Master Xiaohou and the others were waiting outside. When they saw He Xinjiu come out, they were ecstatic. He Xinjiu only said that she had hidden in the Earth Tower for a period of time and mentioned everything else. Everyone had a rough guess in their hearts, but they did not ask too much. After He Xinjiu returned to the dormitory, she happily circled around a few times. Although it was very dangerous this time, she had reached the first level of ethereal space as she wished. It was really something to celebrate. That night, while He Xinjiu was half asleep, the door was pushed open. Di Biming stood at the door. Their eyes met, and there was a strange silence. Di Biming looked at the little head sticking out from under the quilt and was a little confused. Did he come to the wrong house? He Xinjiu's head buzzed. Why was the pretty boy here? Damn it. No, I must not let him know that she had become smaller. Otherwise, he might not laugh at her. He Xinjiu's long eyelashes trembled and she said softly, "Uncle, are you looking for Sister Xiaojiu? She has gone to the Earth Tower for closed-door cultivation for many days. It is said that she will be in closed-door cultivation for half a year." Di Biming, uncle? Sister? He grew up for a whole generation out of thin air? Could it be that he looked as much older than Xiaojiu? Where's the Earth Tower? The Earth Tower is at the back mountain of the Earth Peak, but you can't use the sound transmission talisman inside. He Xinjiu was proud. If that was the case, the gigolo would have no way to verify whether she was inside the Earth Tower. She was too smart. Di Biming frowned. Why are you staying here? Uncle, I'm an orphan. Sister Xiaojiu has been taking care of me, so I'm here to help Sister Xiaojiu take care of the yard. He Xinjiu lowered her head, looking sad and lonely. People felt pity for her when they saw her. Di Biming touched his nose uncomfortably. He felt that it was inappropriate to ask such a little girl, so he said, "In that case, you go to sleep. I'm leaving. Take care, uncle." Bye, uncle. He Xinjiu was overjoyed. Luckily, it was night time, and her hair was loose, covering part of her face. Otherwise, she might really be exposed. Di Biming turned around and walked out of the room, closing the door gently. He frowned. Why did he feel that the little girl was somewhat similar to little Jiu? Although he couldn't see her face clearly, her sly eyes and tone of voice were very similar to little Jiu. Di Biming shook his head. He must have thought too much. The little girl probably spent more time with little Jiu, so their expressions were similar. Just as Di Biming was about to go to the Earth Peak, he saw the large and small deep holes left by the lightning strikes in the courtyard and frowned. Since little Jiu had already gone to the Earth Tower for closed-door cultivation, why were there traces of lightning in the courtyard? Di Biming looked at the few deep craters. It was obvious that the lightning had just struck not long ago. He was suspicious, so he pushed the door open and entered the house again. He Xinjiu was rolling around happily on the bed when she did not expect Di Biming to return. In shock, she rolled off the bed and onto the ground. He Xinjiu fell with a thud. This guy was stunned. Di Biming was stunned at first, then he curled his lips unkindly. This little girl was really stupid. He Xinjiu rubbed her butt and quickly got up to hide under the blanket. She said with dissatisfaction, "Uncle, you're scaring people to death. Why are you back? Didn't I tell you that Sister Xiaojiu is in seclusion?" Since Xiaojie went into seclusion, what's with the deep pit outside? Although Di Biming felt that interrogating a little girl was a little inappropriate, this matter was really strange. He had to get to the bottom of it. He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and said, "Those deep pits were struck by lightning.
I don't know what happened to them.
They were struck for a long time during the day. Not only this courtyard was struck, many places were also struck. If you don't believe me, you can go and take a look." Di Biming saw that the little girl was very calm and did not seem to be lying. He thought to himself, maybe it was just a coincidence. These lightning bolts were not specially struck by little Jiu. Although Di Biming still felt that something was not right, he would never dream that his little wife would turn into a cute little girl. Therefore, Di Biming frowned and left the house again. He Xinjiu let out a long sigh and got off the bed quietly. She looked out through the crack of the door and saw that Di Biming did not leave. He just stood in the yard and looked at the deep pits in silence. Although He Xinjiu wanted to throw herself into Di Biming's arms and cry, she still pouted and returned to the bed with her head drooping. Anyway, the gigolo couldn't get into the Earth Tower, so he would leave soon. She would make it up to him after she found the antidote. What He Xinjiu didn't know was that when she got back to bed, a windblade rabbit jumped out of the flower bush sneakily. Needless to say, this windblade rabbit was Meng Yanshou. In the evening, it said that it wanted to take a walk outside. Yun Chuju agreed, because it had done a meritorious deed today. Anyway, it would not die, so she was not afraid of any danger. Meng Yanshou, this pervert, dug a hole in the flower bush in the yard and sneaked to the next room to watch the female servant take a bath. Just as it sneaked back, it saw the venerable one. It felt that this was a great opportunity for it to flatter, so it said flatteringly, "Venerable one, something big has happened. The little girl in the house is the little fairy. She has taken the wrong medicine." Di Biming, what exactly happened? Meng Yanshou explained everything in detail and then said with a grin, "Your Majesty, I have said it before. I am with the little fairy, and my heart is with you. As your beast, I am absolutely loyal to you." Di Biming did not speak for a long time. He felt that there were no words to describe his current mood. He felt heartache, blame, worry, and some inexplicable grievances. Although the little wife could see but not eat, no matter what, she could still kiss and touch before, but now she had become a little girl. He was not a beast, so how could he do it? Meng Yanshou looked at Di Biming's appearance and secretly sighed with sympathy. "Poor lord, you haven't eaten anything yet. You're just like me, a virgin chicken. How pitiful." Fortunately, even though it had never eaten pork, it had seen many pigs run. "Poor lord, you probably don't even know how to give birth to a monkey. You're too innocent." Di Biming didn't know that he had been pitted by a pervert. He calmed himself down and thought of Yun Chujia's concealment. His face immediately darkened. It was one thing for him to take medicine, but he actually lied to him? He even called him uncle? He called her his own sister? Good, very good. Black thing. Aren't you willing to pretend? I'll let you pretend as much as you want. Di Biming looked at Meng Yanshou with a strange expression. "You did very well this time. I'll reward you in the future." Meng Yanshou immediately expressed its loyalty. "Your Excellency, don't worry. I'll continue to work hard in the future. However, you must not betray me. Otherwise, I'll die a terrible death." Di Biming nodded and then turned around to return to the house. Yun Chujiu saw that Di Biming had returned, and her heart could not help but beat faster. Why did the pretty boy come back? Could it be that he found something wrong? "Uncle, why are you back?" He Xinjiu asked softly. "Uncle? Good, very good." Di Biming suppressed the anger in his heart and said indifferently, "It's too late. I will stay here today. I will look for her tomorrow." He Xinjiu was stunned. Then, she bit her lips and said, "Uncle, you're a man. Although I'm young, I'm still a girl. We can't sleep together." Sister Xiaojie said that whoever wants to take advantage of me will be a turtle bastard. Di Biming was boiling with anger, but he didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and asked, "What's your name?" Hei Xinjiu didn't expect Di Baiming to change the topic. She was stunned. This guy was useless at naming. In a moment of desperation, he didn't know what his name should be. His eyes began to secretly poke at the things around him, trying to come up with a fake name. A kettle? A water cup? A tea bowl? A table? A chair? Even that was not possible. Why was it so difficult to come up with a name? What? Don't tell me you don't even know your own name? I see that although you are young, you are very eloquent. How could you not even remember your name? Could there be another reason behind it? Di Baiming took a few steps forward. A sarcastic look flashed across his deep eyes. Hei Xinjiu suddenly felt that she had been seen through. She comforted herself that it was impossible. This matter was really unbelievable. Even she herself did not believe it, let alone the gigolo. He must have just suspected the identity of the little girl. He did not expect it to be her. It must be like this. It's not that I can't remember my name. It's because my name is not pleasant to the ear. I'm embarrassed to say it, Hei Xinjiu said in a hurry. Oh? Then what's your name? My name is Xiao Hua. Yes, my name is Xiao Hua. Isn't it too old-fashioned? I actually have a name similar to Sister Xiao Jiu's spiritual beast, so I'm too embarrassed to say it. Hei Xinjiu pretended to be very embarrassed as she said. This fellow gave her a 360-degree, without any blind spots.
Damn, she was too smart.
The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched slightly, and he began to take off his coat. Hei Xinjiu shrank into the quilt. What are you doing? Leave this place quickly, or I'll scream. Di Baiming glanced at her. I'm your sister's Iogia's fiancé, so what's wrong with me living here? You're the one who should be leaving. Di Baiming did not stop talking, and soon, only Li Yi was left. Hei Xinjiu's nose almost bled. Shameless. This shameless gigolo. He actually showed off his figure in front of the little girl. This was red pot seduction. Hei Xinjiu's eyes were fixed on Di Baiming's body, like hooks. Her perfect figure was filled with the strong charm of a man, broad shoulders, Emma. She could not think about it anymore. Hei Xinjiu's face was flushed red. Although she warned herself not to think about it anymore, her eyes were still fixed on Di Baiming. Moreover, she was looking forward to it shamelessly. It would be best if she took off her clothes. Di Baiming lifted Hei Xinjiu's quilt and pointed outside the door. Little flower, right? You can leave now, in case you say that I took advantage of you, even though there's nothing to take advantage of. Hei Xinjiu wiped her saliva. She said softly, Uncle, aren't you a little too cold and heartless? Where do you want me to go in the middle of the night? Forget it. I'll reluctantly sleep in the same bed with you. If you dare to have bad intentions towards me, I'll bite you to death. Hei Xinjiu said, afraid that Di Baiming would really throw her out. She quickly wrapped herself in the quilt and lay on the inside of the bed. Di Baiming chuckled. He picked up Hei Xinjiu's collar as if he was picking up a chicken. He picked her up and placed her on the ground. Little thing, you've made a mistake. This is my fiancé's bed. So, I'm not asking for your permission, but you're asking for my permission. Hei Xinjiu stood on the ground in a daze. She saw Di Baiming occupying her bed openly, while she stood alone on the ground like a fool. What? Why aren't you leaving? Do you want me to throw you out? Di Baiming turned his body sideways and raised his eyebrows while propping his head with his hand. Hei Xinjiu was instantly stunned by the beautiful scene in front of her. This guy had an idea when he saw Hei Xinjiu. He stretched out his claws and wanted to touch her, but he was too small and couldn't touch Di Baiming even after jumping a few times. Seeing Hei Xinjiu's funny action, the corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched. He thought to himself, even if he became smaller, he would still be as good as a pervert. What are you doing? Di Baiming's deep voice was like thunder, waking up Hei Xinjiu, who was determined to take advantage of him. Hei Xinjiu said embarrassedly, I just want to go to bed and sleep. Uncle, please do me a favor and let me stay here for one night. I'll sleep somewhere else tomorrow. Firstly, this guy really did not want to wander around outside. Secondly, This guy was simply mesmerized by her beauty. Previously, Biming always wore an undergarment. Not to mention touching it, he would not even let her see it. He was so stingy. She didn't expect him to be shirtless now. If she let go of such a good opportunity, she would regret it for the rest of her life. Hei Xinjia's disheveled hair had been tucked behind her ears, so her face could be seen clearly. Biming looked at the shrunken face and was slightly dazed. If he and little Joe had a daughter in the future, she should be so ice-cold and cute. Hei Xinjia saw that Biming did not speak, so she could only say, "Uncle, Sister Little Joe said that you are the kindest person.
Please take me in."
Biming came back to his senses and curled his lips. It's not impossible to take you in for one night, but there is no free lunch in the sky. You have to exchange something for it, right? Hei Xinjiu heard that there was a door and immediately said, "Uncle, I have spirit stones. I have many, many spirit stones. You can have as many as you want." This fellow felt that beauty was in front of him, so spirit stones and other things should be put aside. Besides, it was not a loss to give the pretty boy a good fortune. Spirit stones? I'm not interested in spirit stones. It'll stay a few more days this time. It's always your sister, Little Joe, who serves me. How about you be my little handmaiden for the next few days? Biming stared at Hei Xinjiu and said. Hei Xinjiu was now dazzled by her beauty. Not to mention her little handmaiden, she would probably be willing to sign a contract to sell her body. This guy kept nodding his head. Okay. I'm willing to be your little handmaiden. Uncle, can you do me a favor and carry me up? Of course, this guy could also jump into bed, but this guy wanted to take advantage of her. He wanted to touch her while Biming was carrying her, so he said so. Biming knew what she was thinking. He said in a low voice, "You can be my little handmaiden, but don't touch me. If you touch me, I'll chop off your claws." Hei Xinjiu was immediately discouraged. "If I don't let you touch me, why should I be a bullshit handmaiden?"
She was not sick.
However, with her small body, there was nowhere to go.
It was already the middle of the night.
She could only nod and say, "Uncle, I'm very obedient. I won't touch you." Biming nodded without batting an eyelid. Then, he saw Hei Xinjiu trying her best to climb onto the bed. Biming curled his lips and poked Hei Xinjia's small head with his finger. Hei Xinjiu, who was trying her best to climb onto the bed, suddenly fell on her butt. Hei Xinjiu, gigolo, you're bullying a 3- or 4-year-old girl. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning?
Boom.
A bolt of lightning struck the roof. Fortunately, the house was still quite sturdy. Although some tiles were cut off, it was not a big deal. Hei Xinjia's face was dull. Could it be that her jinx skill was also useful in the immortal Yuan continent? Biming looked at Hei Xinjia's stunned expression and his eyes flashed. Before he could say anything, Hei Xinjiu suddenly got up from the ground, jumped onto the bed, and threw herself into Biming's arms. "Uncle, Xiao Hua is most afraid of thunder. It scared me to death." Hei Xinjiu took the opportunity to touch him a few times with her small claws. This fellow felt that he was too smart. Biming glanced at the small claws that were caressing his body. He gritted his teeth and said, "Little thing, do you want me to chop off your claws?" Hei Xinjiu reluctantly let go of his hand and rolled to the inside of the bed. She said weakly, "I'm just too afraid of thunder. I'm sorry, uncle. Good night." After saying that, this guy hid his head under the quilt, afraid that Biming would seek revenge on her. Biming's eyes darkened, and he did not speak. There was still a long way to go. Let's see how long you can pretend. The next morning, Hei Xinjiu opened her eyes and stretched. Then, she realized that Biming was lying next to her. She saw that Biming's eyes were closed, and he did not seem to have woken up. The blanket was placed on his waist, revealing his muscular upper body. This guy was immediately tempted to move. The moment the evil claws reached out, Biming's eyes opened. He looked at Hei Xinjiu coldly. "Little thing, what are you going to do?" Hei Xinjiu retracted her claws embarrassedly. "Uncle, I want to cover you with the quilt. I'm afraid that you'll catch a cold." Since you're awake, I'll go and prepare some face, washing water, and breakfast for you." After He Xinju said that, she was afraid that Di Biming would not let her go. She jumped to the ground and ran out. The pitiful He Xinju was not even as tall as the basin. She could only stand on the small stool to help Di Biming wash his face. Then, she helped Di Biming prepare breakfast. This guy wanted to tell the truth for a moment, but he thought that Di Biming would laugh at her if he knew the truth. He might even blame her for taking the medicine, so he decided to endure it. This guy comforted himself. Maybe the gigolo would leave soon, and she would be able to return to normal the next time they met. Di Biming looked at He Xinjiu, who was struggling to eat the big bun, and the corner of his eyes twitched. The bun was almost as big as her face. He Xinjiu ate more than half of the bun and stood on the chair to serve porridge. She did not expect that her center of gravity was unstable, and she almost fell into the porridge pot. Di Biming was quick-witted. He picked up He Xinjiu and said angrily, "Can't you be more careful? Wouldn't you tell me if you want to eat porridge?" He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and pursed her lips, not making a sound. Di Biming looked at He Xinjiu, whose eyes were already filled with tears, and he suddenly felt terrible. He hated He Xinjiu for not telling the truth, and he hated himself for being childish and reckless. The room immediately sank into a low atmosphere. Even the nightmare beast reading the script outside the courtyard trembled in fear. This was bad. That little girl with a black heart had angered the Honorable Sir again. Di Biming took a deep breath and placed He Xinjiu on the chair. Then he helped her to get a bowl of porridge. He Xinjiu said sullenly, "Thank you, uncle. You're really a good person." Di Biming. Di Biming gritted his teeth and did not say a word. After breakfast, He Xinjiu was about to clean up the table when Di Biming snorted, "Go in and fold the quilt first." He Xinjiu cursed the gigolo 100 times in her heart before she walked into the bedroom to tidy up the quilt. Di Biming stood up and cleaned up the table because he was really worried that He Xinjiu would have an accident. He decided that it would be better for him to prepare the food in the future. He Xinjiu naturally did not know what Di Biming was thinking. She thought that Di Biming was deliberately torturing her because he was most worried about folding the quilt. Because she was too small, there was no way for her to flatten the quilt, so she had not folded the quilt recently. When Di Biming walked into the bedroom, he saw He Xinjiu pouting and a mess of quilts. Di Biming said in a low voice, "Little thing, you can't do anything well. Why do I need a maid like you?" He Xinjiu blinked and said, "Uncle, who said that I can't do anything well? I know how to massage my legs and shoulders. I also know how to tell stories." Di Biming automatically ignored the first two items. He raised his eyebrows and asked, "Tell stories? Okay. Come to the yard and tell me a story now." After saying that, Di Biming turned around and left the house. He frowned and looked at the messy courtyard. Just when he was about to clean it up, he heard the footsteps of many people outside. "Junior Sister Yun, we are here to take you for a walk." "Junior Sister Yun, have you had breakfast? I brought you warm porridge and steamed buns from the canteen." "Junior Sister Yun, we have also prepared snacks and spiritual fruits for you to eat while you are strolling." He Xinjiu dashed out of the house and looked at Di Biming, who seemed to be smiling. She laughed dryly and said, "Well, my full name is Yun Xiaohua, so they call me Junior Sister Yun." Di Biming did not expose her. Instead, he pointed at the deep pit on the ground and said, "Let those idiots come in and clean up the yard." After saying that, Di Biming turned around and walked into the house, leaving He Xinjiu, who was very nervous. Did the pretty boy find out or not? Could he have found out it was her and deliberately made fun of her? The more He Xinjiu thought about it, the more likely it was. She suddenly felt that her future was bleak. This guy immediately vented his anger on the servants and disciples outside. He opened the door with a gloomy face. "Why are you screaming so early in the morning? I'm not in a good mood these days, so I don't want to go out for a walk. Come in and tidy up my courtyard." No one thought that they would flatter the horses' hooves, so they had no choice but to come in and tidy up the courtyard. They were all cultivators, and tidying up the courtyard was a piece of cake for them. It didn't take long for them to tidy up the courtyard. After Yun Chujio sent everyone away, she began to walk around the courtyard. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that Di Baiming already knew the truth of the matter, and she was still courting death by lying and calling him uncle. He would definitely not let her off. However, how did he find out? The nightmare beast hiding in the cave tried its best to reduce its presence because it had a bad premonition. Unfortunately, He Xinjiu still suspected it. He Xinjiu said coldly, "Curly hair, we are not afraid of settling scores. Just you wait. Unless you don't come out, I will kill you and replace you with the shell of a toad." Meng Yanshou said weakly, "Little fairy, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand?" Yun Chujio sneered, "Stop pretending. Just you wait. I won't forgive you." Meng Yanshou didn't dare to say anything. It decided to stay in the cave for the next few days. It could sneak a peek at the female servants bathing anyway. Although they didn't look good, it was better than nothing. After He Xinjiu threatened Meng Yanshou, she sat on the stone bench and swayed her short legs, thinking about how to face Di Baiming. She would definitely be scolded. And maybe the gigolo would beat her up. After all, the gigolo had a criminal record and once beat her little butt. The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. In the end, he decided to go to the Earth Tower to hide and wait for Di Baiming to calm down before coming out. Therefore, he sneaked towards the courtyard door. Just as she was about to leave, Di Baiming said coldly in Xiaohua, "Where are you going?" He Xinjiu had nothing to live for. Yin Xiaohua? What a joke. She thought that she had lied to the gigolo, but in the end, he was just playing with her. He Xinjiu turned around and said timidly, "Idol, I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied to you, but I was afraid that you would scold me, so I lied." He Xinjiu lowered her head and tugged at the corner of her clothes, looking like an obedient baby. Di Baiming snorted coldly, "Weren't you acting well before? Why did you stop acting? Continue acting." He Xinjiu laughed dryly, "My idol, nothing can escape your sharp eyes. Since you have already discovered it, I won't act anymore." Di Baiming did not say anything and walked towards He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu's heart immediately sank. Oh no! The gigolo was definitely going to teach her a lesson. He might really want to spank her. What should she do? The gigolo wanted to run, but she knew that she could not escape from Di Baiming's grasp. She could only look at Di Baiming nervously. Di Baiming walked in front of her, but did not teach her a lesson. Instead, he grabbed her by the collar and placed her on the stone table. This way, their gazes would be parallel. He Xinjiu was so guilty that she did not dare to look into Di Baiming's deep eyes. Just as she was thinking about how to remedy the situation, she heard Di Baiming say coldly, "Tell me, why did you call me uncle and call yourself sister? If your explanation satisfies me, I will spare you. Otherwise, HMPH." He Xinjiu had never dreamed that Di Baiming would be angry not because she had taken the wrong medicine, but because of the problem between uncle and sister. She had been spouting nonsense subconsciously. How could she have thought so much about it? Now, how could she explain it? Well, it was just a slip of the tongue. "My Prince Charming, you will always be the most handsome and youngest in my heart. You are not my uncle, you are my brother." He Xinjiu finished her sentence and saw that Di Baiming's face was still gloomy. This guy was shameless. She gritted her teeth and said, "If you are really angry, you can call me grandma or grandmother. That way, we will be even." Di Baiming, He Xinjiu saw that Di Baiming's face was even gloomier. Only then did she realize that she seemed to have made a fool of herself. She hugged Di Baiming's neck and said sweetly, "Brother Baiming, brother husband, brother lover, don't be angry. It's my fault. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have taken the medicine carelessly, I shouldn't have lied to you, and I shouldn't have called you uncle. Dear brother Ming, please forgive me." Meng Yanshou, who was in the cave, almost vomited when he heard He Xinjiu's mushy words. No wonder the 10,000-year-old single dog was taken by this little girl. This shameless strength was simply invincible. No matter how angry Di Biming was, he was stopped by the soft-spoken words, brother. Moreover, Di Biming thought about it in the room just now. He somewhat understood why He Xinjiu would lie to him. If he had suddenly turned into a little boy, he would probably hide the truth because it was really difficult to say it out loud. Di Biming snorted coldly. It won't happen again. Prince Charming, don't worry. There won't be a next time. I won't eat this damn rejuvenation pill for the rest of my life. It's simply a scam. However, there's something worse than me. Ha ha ha. The Earthen Pagoda's artifact spirit has turned into a baby, and it's even drooling. Seeing that the alarm had been lifted, He Xinjiu immediately told Di Biming about the Earthen Pagoda's artifact spirit with a beaming face. Di Biming looked at He Xinjiu, who was smiling like a flower dotingly. Even though the road ahead was dangerous and they always encountered unexpected twists and turns, he felt that it was all worth it to be able to see He Dong's brilliant smile. Everything could be expected. He Xinjiu was melted by Di Biming's doting eyes as she spoke. She threw herself into Di Biming's arms and howled, "Sob, my Prince Charming, I'm so regretful. If I had known this would happen, I would have checked if that damn lotus was a 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have eaten that damn pill. Will I be like this forever? SOB, sob, I still want to have sex with you. I still want to have a baby with you. Sob, I'm so scared." Yun Chujiu burst into tears. She was really scared. If she continued to look like this little girl, what would happen to her and Di Biming in the future? Di Biming took out a handkerchief and gently wiped He Xinjiu's little face. Slowly but firmly, he said, "There will be a way. Even if there isn't, I will always be with you. Not to mention that you have only become a little girl. Even if you become a blade of grass or a stone, I will always be with you." Yun Chujiu's crying stopped abruptly. She looked at Di Biming with tears in her eyes. If it was in the past, she would definitely feel that such words were too pretentious.
But now,
there was only a strong warmth and an unprecedented throbbing in her heart. For a moment, the two of them looked at each other. The courtyard was silent and peaceful. In the cave, the Meng Yanshou wiped its tears with its claws. Emma, this was even more touching than in the storybook. When would it be able to meet its other half? After the two calmed down, He Xinjiu immediately started to show off. "My Prince Charming, can you carry me down? My Prince Charming, I want to eat this spiritual fruit. It's inconvenient for me to chew on it. Can you help me cut it into small pieces? My Prince Charming, my legs are short and my walking speed is slow. Can you carry me into the house?" Meng Yanshou poked his head out of the hole. This black-hearted little girl was practically eating His Majesty to death. However, His Majesty was eating her trick. It was like seeing a ghost. Di Biming looked at He Xinjiu, who was eating the spirit fruit, and asked, "Little Jiu, where were you teleported to after we came out of the tunnel?" "Don't mention it. It was simply too unlucky. I was teleported to the land of the demon ancestor. If I hadn't pretended to be a flower addict, I would have been dead for sure. That damn AOG still wanted to make me a side concubine of the crown prince.
Bah.
Didn't he look at himself in the mirror and see how cowardly he was? He still wanted to marry me? In your dreams." He Xinjiu had finished her sentence. This guy knew that he was going to be bald. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Why would her IQ go offline in front of a gigolo? She had already expected Di Biming to be furious and jealous. She looked at Di Biming timidly. To her surprise, Di Biming's expression was normal. He did not have any intention of getting angry. Instead, he said indifferently, "Is there such a thing? Anyway, I have nothing to do.
Tell me more about it."
Yun Chujiu stole a glance at Di Biming in surprise. Seeing that he did not look angry, she told him what had happened. He Xinjiu looked at Di Biming nervously and said weakly, "Prince Charming, aren't you angry?" Di Biming's lips curled up slightly, and he looked at her with deep eyes.
"Why?
"Do you want me to be angry?" Hei Xinjiu quickly shook her head like a rattledrum. Of course I don't want you to be angry. Everything I said to AOG was a lie. I was just trying to survive. Di Biming nodded indiscernibly and did not say anything. Although Di Biming was as usual, Hei Xinjiu somehow felt a little guilty and quickly changed the topic. Prince Charming, I said that I was going into closed-door cultivation. Why did you come here anyway? Di Biming glanced at her indifferently. With your personality, how could you go into closed-door cultivation? I thought something must have happened, so I came to take a look. Hei Xinjiu laughed dryly. Prince Charming is wise. Nothing can be hidden from you. In the next few days, Di Biming raised Hei Xinjiu like a daughter. Because he felt sorry for her small arms and legs, he took care of all the big and small matters. Hei Xinjiu only cared about eating, drinking, and having fun. She was so beautiful. Di Biming originally wanted to stay for a few more days, but he did not expect that after receiving a voice transmission talisman from Shui Wuji. His face immediately darkened. Little Joe, I have to go. Your current situation is special. Stay in the Yuan killing sect obediently. Don't go anywhere, do you hear me? Yun Chuju knew something was wrong when she saw Di Biming's expression. She nodded obediently. Prince Charming, don't worry. I will cultivate well. I won't cause any trouble. Di Biming glanced at the Meng Yanshou in the flowers. The Meng Yanshou quickly expressed its loyalty and said, My lord, don't worry. I will protect the little fairy. Di Biming reminded Yun Chujiu a few more words before he left in a hurry. Yun Chujiu frowned. What exactly happened? However, since Di Biming did not tell her, she knew better and did not ask. She could not help anyway. It would be good if she did not cause any trouble. Yun Chujiu was stunned for a moment, then she turned her gaze towards Meng Yanshou, who was trying to reduce its presence. Curly hair, come, little sister will change your shell. Do you want the shell of a toad or a big spider? Meng Yanshou slipped into the hole. What a joke! What she said was even worse than this windblade rabbit. At least this shell could dig holes. Peeking and bathing was the most convenient. Yun Chujiu did not really want to punish Meng Yanshou, so she cursed a few times and left it alone. This fellow felt that the most important thing now was to develop the antidote. She did not want to be a little girl all the time. She still wanted to give birth to a monkey for the pretty boy. Guai Chao still had not come up with a solution. Hei Xinjiu felt that practice would yield true knowledge, so she decided to refine pills according to Guai Chao's ideas. This guy was afraid that refining pills would cause too much commotion, so he jumped to the Earth Peak and asked the Earth Tower to bring her to the desolate place from last time. The tool spirit of the Earth Tower could not wait for Yun Chujiu to quickly develop the antidote, so without saying a word, it disappeared with Hei Xinjiu. Qi Ling and Hei Xinjiu disappeared from where they were. The disciple of the Earth Peak quickly reported the news to the Peak Master of the Earth Peak, Lian. Peak Master, it's bad. Yun Chujiu kidnapped the Earth Tower again. Peak Master Lian wanted to cry, but he had no tears. He thought that Hei Xinjiu had been quite peaceful these few days, so he did not arrange for people to set up checkpoints on the Earth Peak. Who would have thought that this fellow had kidnapped the Earth Pagoda again? Peak Master Lian comforted himself. That bad thing would always come back. If she came back, the Earth Pagoda would also come back. It was really nothing, really. Hei Xinjiu followed the Earth Tower to the desolate land and started refining the antidote without stopping. After refining a batch of so-called antidote, she was in a dilemma. She would only know if the antidote was effective after she ate it. However, she did not want to be a guinea pig. Therefore, Hei Xinjiu shouted at the Earth Tower, Hey, come here. Miss has refined a batch of antidote.
Come and eat it.
The Earthen Pagoda's tool spirit was not stupid. If it was, why would Qi Ling not eat the antidote herself? It would not fall for the trick. Seeing that the Earthen Pagoda's tool spirit had fallen for the trick, Hei Xinjiu had no choice but to ask Mao Suichio to take out a wind-edge rabbit from the Grand Illusionary Land and give it a rejuvenation pill. She planned to test the medicine with it after the medicine took effect. The wind-edge rabbit began to shrink rapidly and soon turned into a little rabbit. Hei Xinju nodded. It seemed that the rejuvenation pill was quite lethal. Whether it was a human, an artifact spirit, or a demon beast, it would shrink after eating it. Hei Xinju fed the so-called antidote to the little rabbit. The little rabbit's body grew a little bigger, but its fur also began to grow crazily. Even its eyelashes grew half a foot long. Hei Xinju, the formula definitely wouldn't work. Otherwise, wouldn't she become a monkey after eating it? However, the long-haired rabbit could be kept to knit a sweater for Mao Qiu, because its fur would continue to grow after it was cut off. There was simply no end to it. Hei Xinju quickly changed the formula. After refining another batch of pills, she asked Mao Qiu to produce another wind-edge rabbit. She fed the Windblade rabbit a rejuvenation pill first, and then an antidote. Hei Xinju saw that the Windblade rabbit had returned to its original size. Just as she was about to celebrate the success of the antidote, she noticed that the Windblade rabbit was still growing. In the end, it turned into a 6-foot-long giant rabbit. Hei Xinju touched her nose. The antidote didn't work either. If she ate it, wouldn't she become a giant? How could she have sex with a gigolo then? After that, Hei Xinju refined the antidote repeatedly. The Windblade rabbit that ate her antidote was considered to have 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Some became a long-haired monster, some became a giant rabbit, some became a 2-headed monster, some became a 5-legged monster, and some coughed and became a eunuch rabbit. Hei Xinju looked at the mess of rabbits on the ground and wanted to cry, but no tears came out. The Earth Tower tool, Qi Ling, was even more discouraged. This black-hearted brat was simply fooling around. Could someone like her develop an antidote? To say the least, she did not dare to eat the antidote she developed. Who knew what kind of monster she would become after eating it? Hei Xinju carried the spirit of not giving up and not giving up. She refined a full month's worth of pills. Unfortunately, she still did not succeed. Instead, she obtained a group of strange-shaped rabbits. For some unknown reason, these strange-shaped rabbits actually listened to Meng Yanxi's orders. Meng Yanxi finally showed off his might and brought these strange-shaped rabbits around every day. Hei Xinju felt that it was not a good idea to go on like this. It was better to go to the Killing Origin Sect and the Chaos Origin Sect's library to take a look. Perhaps she could find some inspiration. Therefore, Hei Xinju asked the Earth Tower to bring her out of the desolate land. Peak Master. Peak Master. Yun Chuji's bad news came out. The Earth Tower came back with her. However, there are a bunch of weird-looking demon beasts behind the bad news. They look like a bunch of rabbits. Peak Master Lian. The matter of the rabbits was not Yun Chuji's original intention. She had asked Mao Qiu to keep the modified rabbits into the Great Void Mystic Realm. She did not expect that Mao Qiu would not be able to keep a few of them no matter how many times she kept them. Hei Xinju was in a dilemma. She decided to kill them. She could not bear to do so. Furthermore, Meng Yanxi was begging for mercy from the side. Yun Chujiu had no choice but to bring the weird-looking rabbits out and prepare to release them to the back mountain of Jinfeng. Peak Master Lian, who had hurried over, stared at the messy rabbits behind Hei Xinju with his eyes wide open. Heavens, what were these things? Some of them had fur that fell to the ground, some were 6 feet long, some had 2 rabbit heads, and some had 5 legs? Were these wind-edge rabbits? Hei Xinju lied through her teeth. Peak Master Lian, these were all run out of the Earth Tower. I couldn't bear to kill them, so I brought them out. The Earth Tower trembled with anger. What did this have to do with it? You were the one who did it. But Peak Master Lian believed it. Such a strange-looking wind-blade rabbit could only be found in the Earth Tower. It was definitely not found in the immortal Yuan continent. Peak Master Lian, what is the procedure for me to become an inner disciple? Hei Xinju asked while blinking her eyes. Peak Master Lian was stunned. The procedure for me to become an inner disciple is not complicated. However, there are only 2 ways for a handyman to become an inner disciple. One is to get into the top 30 in the sect competition 3 months later, and the other is for your spiritual power level to reach the spiritual void level. Peak Master Lien did not continue, because he felt that no matter which one it was, he would not be able to do it, let alone now that she had become a little doll. Yun Chuju nodded. After saying her goodbyes, she rode on the giant rabbit and ran away. Peak Master Lien looked at the bunch of rabbits and rubbed his eyes. Why did he feel like he was in a dream? He Xinjiu brought the bunch of rabbits and rushed straight to the meeting hall. After this fellow found Master Xiaohou, he went straight to the point and said, "Master Xiaohou, I want to become an inner disciple." This fellow originally wanted to tell Master Xiaohou that she was already at the ethereal level, but he did not expect that before she could say anything. Master Xiaohou said, "Sure. You have made a huge contribution in the battle of the Nightmare Clan, and the sect has never rewarded you. I will transfer you to an inner disciple as a reward for you." Upon hearing that, He Xinjiu immediately swallowed her words that she was already at the first level of the ethereal space realm. It was good that she did not expose herself. She could continue to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. After thanking Master Xiaohou, He Xinjiu rode the giant rabbit and strolled to the dormitory. Many disciples who were watching the show had gathered outside the meeting hall. They were pointing at He Xinjiu's group of weird-looking rabbits. Damn, are those all rabbits? I've never seen such weird-looking rabbits before.
What's so weird about that?
Yun Chujo turned into a baby when she came out of the Earth Tower last time. I guess these Windblade rabbits must have suffered the same fate as her. You're right. It seems that Yun Chujo is quite lucky. Otherwise, if she turned into 2 heads and 5 legs, she wouldn't be able to see anyone. He Xinjiu sat on the giant rabbit and listened to the discussions of these people. She was so angry that she rushed into the crowd with a bunch of rabbits. The disciples quickly spread out. One of them, with a sharp nose, threw a palm at the 2-headed rabbit. He felt that although these rabbits were strange-looking, they were only level 1 Windblade rabbits. He could kill them with his little finger, not to mention this palm. The hawk-nosed disciple thought very simply. In any case, the situation was chaotic. Even if he killed the rabbit, Yun Chujiu would not find out. Moreover, even if he found out, he would not be able to do anything to him. It was just an ownerless rabbit. Unexpectedly, the 2-headed rabbit jumped to the side and dodged the hawk-nosed disciple's palm. Moreover, several wind blades and fireballs were thrown at the hawk-nosed disciple. The hook-nosed rabbit was dumbfounded. This rabbit could actually use 2 kinds of spiritual power attacks, and it could also use them at the same time. The hook-nosed rabbit was startled and dodged a little too slowly. A few cuts were made on its left arm, and a few strands of its hair were charred. It was in a very sorry state. Everyone was shocked by this unexpected turn of events. The hook-nosed rabbit was an inner sect disciple at the 8th layer of the spiritual void tier. How could it be injured by a first-level wind blade rabbit? How could this be possible? The few oddly shaped rabbits immediately surrounded the aquiline nose in the middle and revealed an angry expression. It was obvious that they were united against the same enemy and were prepared to gang up on him. The aquiline nose felt as though he was cursing a dog in his heart. What kind of monsters were these? Why were they so difficult to deal with? He Xinjiu sat on top of the giant rabbit and narrowed her eyes. There was actually an unexpected harvest. She did not expect that these Windblade rabbits had become stronger. Although these Windblade rabbits' spiritual power seemed to be at level 1, their strength was definitely not at level 1. No wonder Mao Maoqiu could not keep them into the Great Void mystic realm. It was because their spiritual power had become stronger. When the hawk-nosed man saw Yun Chujiu turn around, he said in exasperation, "Yun Chujiu, your rabbit hurt me for no reason." "What do you say? Hurt you for no reason? Why didn't it hurt others specifically? Is it because you're good-looking? Cut the crap. You provoked my rabbit for no reason. Pay up. Otherwise, I'll let the rabbit army destroy you." As soon as He Xinjiu finished her words, The long-haired rabbit's hair suddenly stood up and tied the hawk-nosed man up firmly. It also hit the hawk-nosed man's face several times with its tail. Instantly, the hooked nose's face was swollen like a pig's head. The disciples who were eating melon seeds immediately retreated. Oh my God! These rabbits were too perverted. How is this a rabbit? It was even more ferocious than a tiger. This Yun Chujio was originally very difficult to deal with. Not only did she have countless talismans in her hands, but she also had that huge purple pig. Now, she actually got a bunch of perverted rabbits from God knows where. Who would dare to provoke her in the future? That hawk-nosed man had a swollen face. He gritted his teeth and said, Yun Chujio, don't go too far. Go too far? I'm going to bully you. What do you think? Do you want to go on the competition stage? I'll accompany you anytime. However, if you don't compensate me today, I'll directly kill you. A soft child's voice and a delicate little face that was carved out of jade were completely different from cute in the eyes of the crowd. The only word they could think of was brutal. Too damn savage. The aquiline nose roared fiercely. If you kill me, you won't be well either. I don't believe you dare to kill me. You slut. It was because of you that junior sister Shanshan died. It was because of you that senior brother Chu Quan died. Do you know why you became a child? Because this is retribution. You will die a horrible death. Yun Chuju narrowed her eyes. Chu Shanshan and Chu Quan had both lost their lives because they had pledged allegiance to Morong Hanlai. It seemed that this hawk-nosed man was Chu Shanshan's admirer. Yun Chujia's small face was suddenly covered with a layer of frost. Everyone knows that Chu Shanshan and Chu Quan died because they betrayed the sect.
Why?
Do you want to fight for them? It seems that you are also Morong Hanley's remaining accomplice. The aquiline nose finally realized that he had said the wrong thing. His eyes revealed some panic. You're talking nonsense. I just don't like you being arrogant and despotic. Yun Chujia's tone was cold. She waved her small claws. You don't like me being arrogant and domineering?
What right do you have to not like me?
What right do you have to not like me? Did you just want to kill my rabbit? In that case, there's no need for you to live anymore. Long hair, kill him. The long hair rabbits were tightened and strangled the hooked nose to death. Everyone was stunned by this unexpected turn of events. Everyone thought that Yun Chujio was just saying that, so no one went forward to stop her. Who would have thought that she had really killed someone? Yun Chujio sat on the giant rabbit. She swept her gaze across everyone present. You have to understand one thing. I'm not even afraid of the Yen clan, so naturally, I won't be afraid of you. If I hear anyone talking about me or you touch my things, he will be your end. After saying that, Yun Chujio ran away with a bunch of rabbits. Everyone looked at each other, then at the dead body with the hooked nose. Their backs suddenly turned cold. It was too cruel. That Yun Chujio was simply the reincarnation of a devil. Wasn't she afraid of breaking the sect rules? Of course, He Xinjiu wasn't afraid. At worst, she would be punished to go to the self-reflection cave. Master Xiaohe was probably reluctant to do that, because if He Xinjiu blew up the self-reflection cave, he would have nowhere to cry. The nightmare beast said obsequiously, Little fairy, your behavior just now was too charming. Yun Chujio said indifferently, he has always hated me. If I don't kill him, he will be a disaster sooner or later. Besides, I'll make an example of him. Otherwise, if the news of me being promoted to an inner disciple gets out, there will be a lot of gossips. Let's see who dares to be arrogant this time. Meng Yanshou complimented her, but didn't say anything. He thought to himself that this black-hearted little girl was not only evil, but also evil. It was not wrong for her to follow him. After He Xinjiu returned to the dormitory with a bunch of rabbits, he began to think about the rabbits. There were a total of 5 rabbits, including a giant rabbit, a long-haired rabbit, a 2-headed rabbit, a 5-legged rabbit, and a eunuch rabbit. How did these rabbits become stronger? Some of the rabbits that Yun Chujio brought out from the Great Void Mystic Realm had taken the same antidote, so why did only these 5 rabbits become stronger? Hei Xinjiu could not come up with a conclusion even after researching for a long time. Initially, she wanted to set them free at the back of the mountain, but now, she changed her mind. She wanted to keep them for observation to see if there would be any changes. Perhaps the effects of the medicine would return to normal once it was over. That afternoon, 2 pieces of news spread throughout the Shi Yuan sect. One was that Hei Xinjiu had killed Hawknosed, and the other was that Hei Xinjiu had changed from a handyman in the kitchen to an inner sect disciple. If not for the first matter, everyone would definitely be discussing the second matter. There might even be some inner sect disciples who would come looking for trouble. However, with the shock of the first matter, Yun Chujia's place was like a paradise. Other than Leng Kuei, who came to congratulate her, no one dared to come over. Even the servants next door to Yun Chujiu had used their connections to move away, afraid that this murderous female devil would kill her if she didn't like her. For a moment, the surroundings of Yun Chujia's courtyard became the new forbidden ground of the murderous Yuan sect. No one dared to go near it. Yun Chujiu did not care about this, but the Meng Yanshou was a little unhappy. The reason was very simple. Since the female servant had moved away, it could not peep at people bathing. Yun Chujiu could not be bothered with this pervert. These days, she often went to the library to find some records about Buddha Lotus. Yun Chujiu often went to the library in the morning and only returned to her dormitory in the evening. That afternoon, Yun Chujiu received a message from Leng Kuei saying that he had something to look for her, so she had to leave the library in advance. Junior sister Little Jiu, my master wants you to go to the meeting hall, Leng Kuei said with a conflicted look. Yun Chujiu didn't take it seriously and followed Leng Kuei to the meeting hall on the giant rabbit. Halfway there, Leng Kuei coughed and gritted his teeth. Then he said, Junior sister Little Jiu, do you know why master is looking for you? Yun Chujiu was stunned. How would I know? Do you know? Leng Kuei's face showed a trace of uneasiness. I don't know either. You can ask master yourself. Yun Chujiu narrowed her eyes. Senior brother Leng Kuei, why is your face so red? Does the sect master want me to marry you?
Bang.
Leng Kuei sat on the ground. Junior sister Xiao Jiu, don't scare me. I don't dare to marry you. Leng Kuei was obviously frightened. Hei Xinjiu, damn it. Was she being despised? Although she had become a little girl now, it was not like she could not change back. Was there a need to despise her so much? Leng Kuei saw that Yun Chujia's small face was covered with a layer of frost. He quickly changed the topic. Junior sister Xiao Jiu, forget it, I'll tell you. Recently, many female disciples have complained that a few lecherous rabbits peered at them while they were bathing, and they even stole their bellies, purses, and other inner garments. The rabbits they described were those few weird-looking rabbits of yours. Other than the giant rabbit you're riding now, the rest are all suspects. Moreover, it's said that the most rampant one is an ordinary windblade rabbit. However, it relied on the protection of the other strange rabbits, and the female disciples were helpless against it. Hei Xinjiu almost fell off the back of the giant rabbit. She knew with her toes that this was all the fault of Meng Yanshou. Those rabbits were obedient to him, so they were naturally ordered by him. If it wasn't for it, the rabbits wouldn't have done such a thing, not to mention there was a eunuch rabbit among them. Yun Chujiu gnashed her teeth in anger. No wonder the Meng Yanshou had been so quiet recently. It didn't even read its speech book. It had found a new joy in life. This pervert. This hoodlum rabbit. Although Yun Chujiu wanted to deal with the Meng Yanshou and the rabbits were all in Yun Chujiu's courtyard, so she could only go to the meeting hall first. Seeing that Yun Chujiu didn't say anything, Leng Kuei knew that this matter was most likely true. He said worriedly, Junior sister Xiao Jiu, those female disciples are all furious. You have provoked the public's anger this time. You have to be mentally prepared. Hei Xinjia's heart was like a muttering dog. If she were the person involved, she would also be furious to death. Damn curly hair. This time, she would definitely not let it off. Soon, the two of them arrived at the meeting hall. Yun Chujiu saw that there were more than 100 female disciples standing in the meeting hall. The corners of her eyes twitched. Curly Hair was not picky about food. Some of the female disciples were really ugly. How could he have the appetite to peek at them? When the female disciples saw Yun Chujio enter, they glared at her angrily. However, because of Yun Chujio's cruelty, no one dared to make a sound. Otherwise, they would definitely scold Yun Chujio until she was covered in blood. Master Xiahou felt that his head, which had not hurt for a long time, started to hurt again. The origin-killing sect had existed for tens of thousands of years, and this was the first time that a disciple's spiritual pet had peeked at someone else taking a bath, and even shamelessly stole their undergarments. It was simply too embarrassing. Master Xiahou's old face was slightly uncomfortable as he said, "Yun Chujio, these female disciples reported that the few rabbits you raised peeked at them taking a bath, and even stole their undergarments. What do you have to say?" Although Yun Chujio felt like she was cursing a dog in her heart, she looked like she shared a common enemy. What? There's actually such a thing? If it's true, I will definitely not let those lecherous rabbits off. This is too much. Don't they know that a woman's reputation is very important? Senior sisters, don't worry. If those lecherous rabbits really did it, I will definitely give you justice. The female disciples saw that Yun Chujio was so upright, so their anger calmed down a little. Then, they heard Yun Chujio ask, "Which senior sister can tell me what happened?" A female disciple who was a little braver said, "A few days ago, when I was taking a shower, I could hear some strange noises. However, there was nothing wrong with checking. I thought I was overthinking. However, later, I accidentally found a hole in the corner of the bedroom. That's when I found the two damned rabbits. They dug a hole from the flowers in my yard. One of them is a 5-legged rabbit, and the other is an ordinary windblade rabbit. Its body is white, but its ears are black." The rest of the women saw that someone had taken the lead and started to talk about what had happened. Yun Chujio found that without exception, every time she peeked, there was that damned curly hair. The culprit was none other than it. Senior sisters, I will go back to the courtyard now to interrogate those perverts. If it's true, I will not let you suffer in vain. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, after getting the approval of Master Xiahou, she rode the giant rabbit back to the courtyard angrily. The nightmare beast and the few perverted rabbits thought that Yun Chujio would come back in the evening today, so they gathered together to study a few bellies and purses. Meng Yanshou said with an experienced, lecherous tone, "See? I bet that Lu Yanyan's undergarments are pink. Am I right?" The lecherous rabbits chimed in a few times, and the eunuch rabbit even raised one of its claws to express its admiration for Meng Yanshou. He Xinjiu was so angry that she almost vomited blood. "You fucking eunuch rabbit still hasn't given up? Shameless. What are you doing? Curly hair. I should have changed you into a toad shell to prevent you from peeking at me while I'm bathing. All of you, get over here." Yun Chujio said angrily, while holding a large kitchen knife. Meng Yanshou almost fainted from fright. Meng Yanshou rolled its eyes. He grinned and said, "Little fairy, calm down. Calm down. You've wronged us. We're going to scout for information so that they won't harm you. As for peeping at them bathing, it was just a side trip. Who asked them to take a bath when they had nothing to do? Is it my fault?" Yun Chujio was so angry that she was amused. Side trip? Then these bellies and purses were also stolen by the side trip? You really know how to take a side trip. Now that the female disciples have gone to complain, tell me, what do you plan to do? Those few rabbits were originally instigated by the Meng Yanshou, so they all looked at the Meng Yanshou with eager eyes. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. Meng Yanshou grinned and said in a fawning manner, "Little fairy, you definitely can't bear to kill us, right? You definitely have a way, right?" Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips. "I naturally have a way, and that is to kill you all to appease the public's anger. After killing you all, we can eat stewed rabbits tonight." The few rabbits immediately wilted. Although they did not establish a contract with Yun Chujio, They were inexplicably afraid of Yun Chujio. If Yun Chujio wanted to kill them, they did not dare to resist at all and could only obediently be killed. Seeing this, the nightmare beast opened its red eyes and said heroically, "If you want to kill me, then kill me." One rabbit does things, and the other rabbit takes the blame. They were all instigated by me, and I am the main culprit. Yun Chujio glanced at it with disdain. Stop acting like a hero. They don't know that you can't die, so how can I not know? All right, I'll use you to shut their mouths. Hand over the stolen inner clothes first. Meng Yanshou reluctantly took out the inner clothes that were hidden in its own space and spread them all over the floor. The corner of Yun Chujio's eyes twitched violently, and she glared at Meng Yanshou. Is this all? Take them out for me. Meng Yanshou took out a few precious editions in pain and said regretfully, "Little fairy, look at how exquisite the embroidery is. I was planning to keep them for my wife in the future." Yun Chujio, are you a retard? You gave your wife someone else's belly and pocket? Aren't you afraid of being beaten into a pig's head? He Xinjiao snorted coldly and hacked Meng Yanshou's shell to death with a large kitchen knife. Then, she took out a rabbit from the great void mystic realm and said to the Meng Yanshou, "Use this to drive the shell." The Meng Yanshou was secretly delighted. It did not expect that the little girl, He Xinhuang, did not blame it. The sun had really risen from the north. However, when the Meng Yanshou possessed it, it was immediately dumbfounded. Fuck this was actually a female rabbit. It couldn't be played like this. Was it trying to turn it into a man, a woman, a demon? Yun Chujio ignored the Meng Yanshou that was seeking death and carried the Windblade rabbit's corpse back to the meeting hall. Yun Chujio pointed at the Windblade rabbit's corpse on the ground and said, "Senior sisters, I've asked around. Those rabbits were instigated by this lecherous rabbit, so they did the wrong thing. After I asked around, I killed it with one slash. As for the other few, they are only accomplices. Moreover, one of them is a eunuch rabbit. If it weren't for this damned lecherous rabbit, they wouldn't have done such a thing. Moreover, I brought them out of the Earth Tower. Maybe one day, the tool spirit of the Earth Tower will take them back. So can you spare their lives for the time being? However, don't worry. I won't let you suffer in vain. I will compensate you for your mental damage." The female disciples looked at the Windblade rabbit on the ground. It was indeed the one that had peeked at them. Each of them gnashed their teeth in hatred. They wished that they could make a few more stabs. Everyone looked at each other. Yun Chujio was not someone to be trifled with. They had already done things to this extent, so there was no need for them to probe further. Moreover, they were just a few lecherous rabbits. Other than being angry, there was not much to lose. "Junior Sister Yun, since you say so, we can't say anything more. We can discuss the amount of compensation later. Can you return the clothes that the lecherous rabbit stole to us?" The bold female disciple said. Even if the girl's inner clothing was destroyed, it could not fall into the hands of others. If it fell into the hands of a male disciple, it would be hard to say. Yun Chujio cursed the Meng Yanshou in her heart a few more times then. She said with a smile, "Of course you can. After we leave the meeting hall, we will find a suitable place to discuss the amount of compensation and return the clothes to you." After hearing Yun Chujio's words, the female disciple finally reacted. Those damned rabbits had stolen their inner clothes, so it was naturally not good to take them out in the meeting hall. Thus, she nodded her head uncomfortably and agreed. Yun Chujio said some self-reproaching words to Master Xiahou. It was nothing more than polite words like not being strict in disciplining the spiritual pets and never repeating it again. Master Xiahou nodded his head perfunctorily and also said a few words of admonishment. Then he let everyone leave the meeting hall. After Yun Chujio reached an agreement with the female disciples to compensate them, she returned the inner garments to them. Then, she gritted her teeth and returned to the dormitory. The moment she entered the courtyard, the Meng Yanshou pounced over. "Little fairy, please change my outer shell. It's really awkward for a man like me to be inside a woman's outer shell." Yun Chujio kicked the Meng Yanshou away. Scram to the side, you pervert, you hoodlum, rabbits. Seeing that Yun Chujio was in a rage, the Mengyensho could only lower its head and remain silent. It could actually get the few rabbits to go to the back of the mountain to catch other demonic beasts, but it did not dare to do so. Now, the Mengyensho had discovered that although this little girl's spiritual power was not high, she was black-hearted. Moreover, she was full of evil intentions. It was better not to offend her. Moreover, there was still that person behind her. Yun Chujio scolded the few rabbits and warned them that if they continued to mess around with the Mengyensho, they would be turned into roasted rabbits. The rabbits immediately lowered their heads and expressed their regret. They would definitely not get close to the bad guys. The next morning, when Yun Chujio was about to go to the library, Leng Kuei arrived. Junior sister Jiu, the 3-month period has ended. And Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao are here to pick you up. Although Leng Kuei's expression was normal, a hint of schadenfreude flashed in his eyes. Although he felt that it was a little inappropriate, he was looking forward to it when he thought of the expression on Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao's faces when they saw Yun Chujio turn into a little girl. Yun Chujio, no.
No.
I'm not going back. I still have to stay in the Origin Killing sect for the next 3 months. Hei Xinjiu shook her head like a rattledrum. It was not easy for her to quell the rumors of the Origin Killing sect, but she still had to go to the Origin Killing sect to suffer. She was not going back. Cough cough, junior sister little Jiu, I'm afraid you can't not go back. It's said that Master Bailey has given Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao his life. If they don't bring you back, they will be punished. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Is old man Bailey sick? Didn't he wish that she would never go back? Why did he come to pick her up this time? Hei Xinjiu thought about it. She had almost finished reading the books in the library of the murderous origin sect. It was okay to go back to the Hunyuan sect. She could go to the library to take a look. Therefore, Hei Xinjiu rode on a giant rabbit and brought a bunch of rabbits out of the dormitory, heading to the mountain gate of the murderous origin sect. And Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao were anxiously waiting outside the main gate. They were so happy to hear that Yun Chujio was safe and sound that they almost went crazy. If it weren't for the 3-month deadline, they would have come to pick Yun Chujio up long ago. Just as the two of them were stretching their necks to wait, they saw a giant rabbit jump out from inside. On top of it sat a little girl that was carved from jade. Her big eyes were twinkling, and she looked very cute. However, the few that followed behind were rabbits. And Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao widened their eyes. Oh my, where did the Essence Killing sect get these strange rabbits? And who is that little girl? Could she be the granddaughter of one of the elders of the Essence Killing sect? The two of them looked at Leng Kuei, who was behind the rabbits. And Lin Chuan shouted, Leng Datu, where is our little 9th junior sister? When Leng Kuei heard and Lin Chuan call him Leng Dati, his face immediately darkened. His heart skipped a beat. He pointed at Yun Chujio and said seriously, isn't this little 9th junior sister? Don't tell me you can't even recognize little 9th junior sister? And Lin Chuan was stunned at first, then he laughed so hard that he almost rolled on the ground. Haha. Leng Dati, I think your head has been kicked by a spirit beast, right? How can a little milk baby be my little 9th junior sister? If little 9th junior sister became like this, wouldn't she still have to hit the wall? Yun Chujio's small face was instantly covered with a layer of frost. Unfortunately, Lin Chuan wouldn't pay attention to the expression of a little girl. He then laughed loudly and said, Leng Datu, even if you want to lie to me, you have to use your brain, right? Junior sister little 9th is the hero of the human race and my idol. How could she become a baby who hasn't been weaned yet? Look at her small arms and legs. She probably can't even lift a chicken, let alone beat the Nightmare Clan. Leng Kuei saw Yun Chujio's stern face and lit a candle for Lin Chuan in his heart. With a gloating look in his eyes, he said, Lin Chuan, what I said just now is the truth. Junior sister Jiu has become like this because of some unforeseen events. If you don't believe me, you can ask her yourself. And Lin Chuan was not willing to believe him. Just as he was about to continue shouting, Shangguan Hao pulled him and said in a low voice, "Look at that little girl's appearance. She looks very similar to junior sister Jiao. I'm afraid what he said is true." And Lin Chuan then carefully observed Yun Chujia's appearance. He was shocked. She really did look alike. However, he still did not believe it. He curled his lips and said, "All right, Lung Datu. You really went all out just to tease us. You actually found a little doll that looks so much like junior sister Xiao Jiao. However, no matter how similar she looks, she can't be junior sister Xiao Jiao." Lung Kuei snorted coldly. He could not be bothered with this idiot. He turned his head and said to Yun Chujiao, "Junior sister Xiao Jiao will go back first. I wish you a safe journey." Yun Chujiao nodded. "Thank you, senior brother Lung Kuei." And Lin Chuan saw that Lung Kuei had really turned around and entered the mountain gate. He looked at Yun Chujiao in disbelief. His mouth was wide open. "Junior sister Xiao Jiao you.
It can't be you, right?
How did you become a little girl? 3 or 4 years old?" Yun Chujiao gritted her teeth in anger. "Long fur. Tie him up." The long-haired rabbit was just about to redeem itself when it heard Yun Chujia's order. Its hair immediately grew out and wrapped itself around Lin Chuan. And Lin Chuan was completely dumbfounded. Was this a rabbit or was this hair turned into a spirit? How could there be such a move? And Lin Chuan hopped and managed to dodge the long-haired rabbit's attack. Before he could heave a sigh of relief, he saw the two-headed rabbit attacking him with fireballs and wind blades. And Lin Chuan's heart was filled with rage. Have all the rabbits in the Yuan killing sect turned into spirits? How could there be a rabbit with dual spiritual power attacks? Shangguan Hao had already confirmed Yun Chujia's identity and pleaded on the side, "Junior sister Xiao Jiao, junior brother S brain isn't working properly. Please spare him." And Lin Chuan, "You're the one whose brain isn't working properly." Of course, Yun Chujiao didn't really want to do anything to Lin Chuan. She just wanted to teach him a lesson. Therefore, she snorted coldly and called back the 2 rabbits. And Lin Chuan wiped the sweat from his forehead. He said in disbelief, "Junior sister Xiao Jiao, is really you? Oh my god. How did you become like this? Can you walk now?" "Definitely not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be riding on the rabbit." Poor junior sister Xiao Jiao. Yun Chujiao gritted her teeth and jumped up from the giant rabbit. She kicked Lin Chuan in the front. And Lin Chuan didn't expect Yun Chujiao to suddenly attack him. He was immediately kicked away and then tied up by the long-haired rabbit. Yun Chujiao walked to him with her short legs and kicked him. "Not only can I walk, but I can also kick people." And Lin Chuan cried out in pain. Damn it, junior sister little Jiao had become smaller. How could she be so narrow-minded? However, this kick was really painful. "Junior sister little Jiao, I was wrong. I was wrong. Please spare me." Yun Chujiao glared at him and then let him go. She snorted coldly and ignored him. Although Shangguan Hao was full of curiosity, he tactfully did not ask. The 3 of them boarded the flying spirit tool and returned to the primordial chaos sect. And Lin Chuan clearly remembered to eat but not to hit. He approached Yun Chujiao and said with a cheeky smile, "Junior sister Xiao Jiao, how did you become a little doll? Are you trying to make up for your lost childhood?" Shangguan Hao lit a candle for him.
He was really seeking death.
As expected, and Lin Chuan's scream and begging for mercy soon rang out from the flying spirit tool. However, after Lin Chuan's ruckus, He Xinjiao had come to her senses. It was nothing more than a mocking and surprised look. What was there to be afraid of? Therefore, when the flying spiritual device landed in front of the mountain gate of the mixed origin sect, He Xinjiao rode the giant rabbit and swaggered into the mountain gate. The disciple on duty at the mountain gate of the mixed origin sect stopped Yun Chujiao. "Little kid, not everyone can enter the mixed origin sect. Please show your jade token." Yun Chujiao glanced at them and took out her identity jade token. Yun Chujiao? You are Yun Chujiao? The disciples looked as if they had seen a ghost. How did Yun Chujiao become a little girl? The disciples were stunned when they saw Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao nodding behind Yun Chuzhou. Was this little girl really the bad guy? Yun Chuzhou took back her identity jade token from the disciples and rode away on a giant rabbit with a bunch of rabbits. The disciples were speechless. They wanted to say that it was forbidden to ride spirit pets in the primordial chaos sect, but when they thought that the bad news bag was the one who violated the sect rules, they pretended to be blind. Although Yun Chuzhou had become smaller, it was better to not offend her. And Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao nodded at the disciples and quickly chased after Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou and her string of rabbits immediately caused the chaos sect that had been silent for several months to explode again. Who is the little girl sitting on that big rabbit? Why haven't I seen her before?
Damn.
What are those things behind her? Are they rabbits too? They should be rabbits, right? But this is the first time I've seen such a strange-shaped rabbit. Judging from the level of spiritual power, it seems to be only level 1. How can there be such a low-level demon beast in the immortal Essence Continent? And Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao looked at each other. As soon as little ninth junior sister returned, the Chaos Origins sect immediately became lively. It was an instant effect. Yun Chuzhou brought a bunch of rabbits into the meeting hall. Master Bailey and the other peak masters were in the middle of a meeting. When they saw Yun Chuzhou riding in on the rabbits, they immediately fell silent. Yun Chuzhou jumped down from the giant rabbit and bowed respectfully. Yun Chuzhou pays her respects to Master Bailey and the other peak masters. Everyone, were their ears not working, or was this little girl's brain not working? Yun Chuzhou? She was Yun Chuzhou. What kind of joke was this? After a strange silence, Lin Chuan and Shangguan Hao chased into the meeting hall, and Lin Chuan said incoherently, "Ha, you guys don't believe it either, right? I didn't believe it before either, but she is junior sister little Jiao, the real junior sister little Jiao." Shangguan Hao glared at him and said respectfully, "Sect Master, Peak Masters, little ninth junior sister has encountered some unforeseen circumstances, so she has become like this. She is indeed little ninth junior sister." Everyone, after a while, Mountain Master He of Yuhing Peak coughed dryly and said, that little ninth girl. My condolences. No, I mean you should be more open-minded. It's not that. Anyway, it's already like this, so don't be too sad. Mountain Master Zhua of Tianji Peak consoled her. Yes, little ninth girl. The world is unpredictable. Don't take it to heart. The other peak masters also comforted her. Although they were all pale and weak, they at least expressed their concern. Their thoughts were almost the same. This child had suffered a huge blow, so she might not be in good spirits. Otherwise, she wouldn't be mixed up with a group of strange-shaped rabbits. They probably shared the same fate. Speaking of which, where did she find these strange-shaped rabbits? Yun Chuzhou did not explain further. Instead, she said, "Master Bailey, because of the contributions I made in the Battle of the Nightmare Clan, the murderous Yuan sect has promoted me to an inner disciple. What do you think?" Master Bailey hurriedly nodded. "I will also promote you to an inner disciple immediately. Little Joe girl, if you have any other requests, feel free to ask. Do you need me to send a few female servants to take care of you?" Yun Chuzhou saw the pity and sympathy in Master Bailey's eyes and almost had goosebumps all over her body. She repeatedly waved her hand. "If I have something to do, I will look for Jean Ji and Sister Bingyu. I just don't know why Master Bailey called me back this time. What are your orders?" Nothing much, nothing much. You should quickly go back and rest. That, you two are responsible for sending little Joe back to the dormitory safely." Master Bailey quickly said. Yun Chuzhou's eyes flashed. They must have something they wanted her to do, but seeing that she had become smaller, they changed their minds. Humph. Forget it. She just couldn't be bothered to meddle in other people's business. After He Xinzhou bowed, she rode the giant rabbit and jumped out of the meeting hall with a bunch of rabbits. Master Bailey and the others looked at each other. Then Master Bailey sighed, "Let's put that matter aside for now. I didn't expect little Jiao to become like this. It's really heartbreaking." Mountain Master Zhua and the others also sighed. How did a little girl suddenly become a little girl? After Yun Chuzhou came out of the meeting hall, she brought a bunch of rabbits back to the dormitory. Along the way, she naturally received a lot of curious and gloating gazes. He Xinjiu chewed on the spirit fruit and recorded the gloating people in the black ledger. Meng Yanshou, who was riding on the long-haired rabbit, grinned from ear to ear. Io, the little girl from the Chaos Origin sect, was even more dainty than the one from the Murder Origin sect. Spring was coming again. When Yun Chuzhou arrived at the dormitory, Jin Ji and Yi Bingyu were already waiting there. Yun Chuzhou had thought of many possibilities, but she did not expect it to be like this. Jin Ji and Yi Bingyu held He Xinjia's little face and could not put it down. They changed her hairstyle, brought her a garland, and even changed her clothes. What was going on?
Fuck.
Did they treat her like a doll? And Lin Chuan laughed, and Shengguan Hao could not help but laugh. Junior sister Jiao had turned from a bad person into a cute little bun. She was so cute. Yun Chuzhou finally got rid of the two girls who were obsessed with her. She held her chin and thought about her next step. After thinking about it, she decided to go to the library and read the books. Even if she could not find the antidote for the rejuvenation pill, she could at least gain some knowledge. Therefore, the next day, after Yun Chuzhou had breakfast, she rode the giant rabbit to the library of the Hunyuan sect. Senior brother, I want to enter the second floor of the library, Yun Chuzhou said to the disciple who was guarding the library. That disciple was the Lu Shun who made things difficult for Yun Chuzhou when she first came to the library. He curled his lips and said, Yun Chuzhou, you servants can only read books on the first floor of the library. Have you become smaller in size and smaller in brain? Suddenly, there were snickering sounds around. Yun Chuzhou realized that many disciples had gathered around the library. They were probably here to watch the show. Who said I'm a handyman? I've already become an inner disciple. If you don't believe me, you can check my identity jade token, Yun Chuzhou said coldly. Lu Shun laughed loudly. Yun Chuzhou, it seems that your brain is really not working. You? An inner disciple? The sect competition hasn't even started yet. How did you become an inner disciple? Don't tell me that you've broken through to the ethereal level? The surrounding people also started to jeer. They were all saying that Yun Chuzhou had become smaller and her brain was no longer working. Yun Chuzhou's small face was gloomy like water as she said coldly, I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to go through the procedures? Lu Shun was frightened by the murderous aura on Yun Chuzhou's body. Then he said angrily, No. Yun Chuzhou, do you still think you are the Yun Chuzhou of the past? You are now a waste. A waste that is not even 3 feet tall. I can crush you to death with one finger. Good, very good.
I will show you who is a waste today.
Yun Chuzhou's small face suddenly revealed a smile, but that smile made people feel a bone-chilling chill. Before everyone could react, Lu Shun had already been sent flying by Yun Chuzhou's kick. Yun Chuzhou's kick was much stronger than the one she used to kick in Linchuan. Lu Shun was like a kite with a broken string. He crashed into a large rock hundreds of feet away. Lu Shun, who was hit until he saw stars, did not have the time to stand up. The huge rabbits but smashed into his body. Lu Shun choked and immediately fainted. The giant rabbit reached out its paw and slapped Lu Shun's face twice. More than half of Lu Shun's teeth fell out of his mouth. If the giant rabbit had not used its full strength, his head would have been blown away. Can we do it now? If we still can't do it, then let's change people. Yun Chuzhou said with a faint smile. Lu Shun glared at Yun Chuzhou, but he still got up and helped Yun Chuzhou go through the procedures for the second floor of the library. When Yun Chuzhou entered the library, Lu Shun immediately knelt down to everyone. My fellow disciples, Yun Chuzhou has really gone too far. I will go to the law enforcement office to complain. I hope everyone can bear witness for me. The onlookers did not think that it was a big deal, so they immediately started to jeer and followed Lu Shun to the law enforcement office. Manager Zhong had been very relaxed recently, but ever since he heard that Yun Chujio had returned, his right eye had been twitching nonstop. He did not sleep well last night, and he always felt that since the bad news had come back, the law enforcement office would not be able to stop. As soon as he saw the bruised and swollen Lu Shun and heard Yun Chujio's name, he immediately felt his head buzzing. It was over. That bad news bag had indeed caused trouble again. However, even if the crime was confirmed, there was no way to punish her. Sex resources? That little girl was so rich that she didn't even care about sex resources. Think over the cave? Emma, stop fooling around. Think over the cave was the ancestors' foundation. If it was destroyed by her hands, it would be terrible. The meditation cave? Well, it had already collapsed. Manager Zhong couldn't do anything about Yun Chujio, so he blamed it on Lu Shun. He thought to himself, this idiot, why did he provoke that evil star for no reason? If she wants to go in, then go in. Why did he have to stop her? Wait, he said that Yun Chujio didn't have the right to go to the second floor of the library building? Manager Zhong looked at Lu Shun as if he was looking at an idiot. Yun Chujio is an inner disciple. Why don't you let her go to the second floor of the library building? Lu Shun was stunned. Isn't she a handyman in the big kitchen? Yesterday, the sect leader had already issued a document. In view of Yun Chujio's great contributions in the battle of the Yen clan, she was made an exception to become an inner disciple. It was just that she had not had the time to announce it. However, the information on her identity jade token has been changed. Didn't you see it? Manager Zhong's tone carried a hint of ridicule. Lu Shun was dumbfounded. He had not checked Yun Chujio's identity information carefully at all. Who would have thought that Yun Chujio had really been turned into an inner disciple? Then wouldn't he have been beaten up for nothing? The surrounding crowd instantly exploded. That Yun Chujio had actually been broken through and turned into an inner disciple? Everyone had different reactions to this. Some thought that Yun Chujio had made a contribution in the battle of the Yen clan, and it was natural for her to be turned into an inner disciple. Some thought that no one knew what had happened during the battle of the Nightmare clan. Maybe it was just a rumor. Besides, it was a different matter. What right did Yun Chujio have to enjoy special privileges? Lu Shun left the law enforcement office embarrassedly. When he returned to his courtyard, he found a person standing in the courtyard. Lu Shun was about to open his mouth to speak when that person said coldly, "Do you want to take revenge? If you do, then do as I say. Don't worry, after the matter is done. I won't mistreat you." Lu Shun gritted his remaining teeth and nodded. "Of course I want to take revenge. I can't wait to tear that wretched girl into pieces. What do you want me to do?" The man whispered a few words. Lu Shun hesitated for a moment and then nodded in agreement. For a few days, Yun Chujio had gone to the library early to read. She would only leave in the evening. She had met Lu Shun a few times during this period. Yun Chujio did not make things difficult for him. Lu Shun acted as if nothing had happened and went through the procedures for Yun Chujio to enter the second floor of the library as usual. On this day, when Yun Chujio arrived at the library, it was still Lu Shun who was on duty. Lu Shun took Yun Chujio's identity jade token and registered it. Then he handed Yun Chujio a jade token. After Yun Chujio took the jade token, she walked into the entrance of the library. Lu Shun's eyes revealed a trace of gloating. "Yun Chujio, this time, you're dead for sure. This is all your fault, you bitch." Meng Yanshou and the few rabbits were busy peeping at the female disciples bathing every day. They had learned their lesson this time and didn't steal the inner clothes, so they wouldn't be easily discovered. However, they didn't peep at Yi Bingyu and Jin Ji, who were closest to Yun Chujio's courtyard because, rabbits don't eat grass near their nests. Jin Ji and Yi Bingyu were about to break through in the next few days, so they were in closed-door cultivation. And Lin Xuan and Shengguan had left the Primordial Chaos sect because they had been assigned a trial mission. Therefore, after a few days, no one noticed that Yun Chujio was missing. It was not until Jin Ji and Yi Bingyu had successfully broken through and came over to report the good news to Yun Chuzhou that they realized that Yun Chuzhou had not returned to her dormitory for a few days. The two of them suddenly felt that something was not right. Even if little Jiao was addicted to reading, it was not to the extent that she had not left the library for so many days. Moreover, the identity jade token and the voice transmission talisman could not contact her. Something must have happened. Meng Yanshou was immediately dumbfounded. It's over. It's over. If His Majesty knew that it was only concerned with peeping at the female disciple taking a bath and had let the black-hearted little girl fall into a dangerous situation, he would definitely not spare it. Jin Ji and Yi Bingyu quickly found Master Bailey. Although Master Bailey felt that Yun Chuzhou should not be in any danger in the sect, he still sent people to search the sect. After searching, they found an unbelievable fact. Yun Chuzhou did indeed enter the library, but she disappeared into thin air. Jin Ji and Yi Bingyu almost searched the library, but they did not find any clues. Where exactly did little Jiao go? Although Lu Shun also cooperated with everyone to help find her, he laughed wildly in his heart. You guys go ahead and search. You'll never find her. She might have already died. Several days passed in a row, but there was still no news of Yun Chuzhou. Master Bailey and the others regretted it. If they had known this would happen, they wouldn't have brought her back. But now, she was nowhere to be found. Where exactly did she go? Before the waves had subsided, another wave rose. The groups of disciples who had gone out for the trial returned one after another. However, they returned in a miserable state. They had suffered heavy casualties from the attacks of the murderous Yuan school. Even in Linchuan and Shangguan Hao were severely injured. If they didn't have the talismans and chili noodles that Yun Chuzhou had given them, they might have lost their lives. Master Bailey and the others were furious. The primordial murder sect was really going too far. Although the two sects had not been on good terms, they were only fighting for benefits and did not directly hurt anyone. Now, the primordial murder sect had openly killed the disciples of the primordial murder sect. It was intolerable and they had to seek justice. Before the primordial murder sect could make a move, Master Xiahou of the primordial murder sect came to kill them. Bai Li Yin, you don't deserve to be a human. Your Chaos Origins sect actually killed dozens of our Killing Origins sect disciples. What are you trying to do? Master Bailey almost lost his breath. He cursed angrily, Xiahou Lin, you are the villain who sued first, distorting the truth. It was clearly your Killing Origins sect that killed our Chaos Origins sect disciples, and you still have the face to accuse us? Both sides argued endlessly, and there were witnesses and evidence. The relationship between the two sects became tense. At this moment, the disciples of the murderous Yuan sect were assassinated one after another, and the 4 grand elders of the murderous Yuan sect were all poisoned. The mastermind directly pointed the finger at the murderous Yuan sect. The last bit of rationality of the people of the murderous Yuan sect was crushed. Master Xiahou officially issued a letter of challenge to the murderous Yuan sect, and both sides officially started a war. As the two super sects, the Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect each had their own sphere of influence and had quite a few affiliated sections. The moment they started the war, almost half of the Immortal Essence continent was involved. Alliance Master Yen of the Sky-Bearing Alliance hurriedly mediated from the middle, hoping that the misunderstanding could be cleared up and the tense situation could be alleviated. Alliance Master Yen's thoughts were pretty good, but both sides had been blinded by anger. No matter how clever he was and how eloquent he was still unable to ease the tense situation. The Killing Origin sect and the Chaos Origin sect clashed one after another. For a moment, everyone was in a panic. The cities near the two sects had almost become empty cities. As the conflict intensified, both sides were bloodthirsty. They agreed to fight to the death in Qingyuan Valley on the 5th of June. Soon, it was the 5th day of June. Master Bailey and Master Xiahou each brought their elites to Qingyuan Valley. Alliance Master Yen also arrived with the people from the Sky-Bearing Alliance. He tried his best to persuade Master Bailey and Master Xiahou. Alliance Master Yen talked about the relationship between the two sides from the interests of the human race. Finally, he let out a long sigh. The two sects are originally from the same sect. They are like branches. Why do we have to fight each other? Master Bailey and Master Xiahou showed hesitation on their faces. Elder Gui of the Primordial Murder Sect said while coughing, "Martial Nephew Xiahou, although what Alliance Master Yen said makes sense, the Primordial Chaos Sect is ruthless and merciless. They killed countless of our disciples. We have to take revenge. Now, there is only one solution. That is to destroy the Primordial Chaos Sect and bring the disciples of the Primordial Chaos Sect into our Primordial Murder Sect. This way, there will be no more conflicts in the future." When the people of the Chaos Origin Sect heard Elder Gui's words, they were instantly enraged. This was simply bullshit. Why didn't he say that he would merge the Killing Origin Sect into the Chaos Origin Sect? Their Chaos Origin Sect was vicious and merciless? It was clearly the Killing Origin Sect that had killed the disciples of the Chaos Origin Sect in a sinister and crafty manner. Immediately, both parties started quarreling again. Alliance Master Yen revealed a helpless expression. It seemed that this big battle was unavoidable. Once this big battle started, regardless of whether it was the Murderous Origin Sect or the Hunyuan Sect, they would suffer heavy losses. If the Yen clan suddenly attacked at this time, the human defense line would probably be completely defeated. At that time, the lives of the people would be plunged into misery, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Just as Alliance Master Yen was thinking about it, the two sides had already started to fight. He could only take his men and retreat a little to avoid being implicated. Lung Kuei and Lin Chuan were fighting. Lung Kuei said coldly, "Lin Chuan, for the sake of our past friendship, I'll cover you and Shangguan how to leave this place." And Lin Chuan snorted coldly, "Then I really have to thank you. But our Primordial Chaos Sect doesn't have cowards who run away at the last minute. Let me give you a piece of advice. Your murderous Primordial Chaos Sect will definitely suffer a crushing defeat. I'll cover you. You can leave." Lung Kuei did not reply. He tightened his attacks, and the two of them started fighting. Master Xiahou and Master Bailey were also fighting each other. Master Bailey said while fighting, "Xiahou Lin, I originally did not have the intention to cause any more trouble, but why did your murderous Primordial Sect force us repeatedly? If you did not kill our disciple, why would we fight? Don't fucking say nice things, do you think I'm willing? It's all because your Primordial Chaos Sect didn't do things properly. Not only did you kill so many of our disciples, you even tried to assassinate our Grand Elder. You are purely trying to destroy our Shiyuan sect. You are slandering people. It wasn't our Primordial Chaos Sect who did it. It wasn't your Primordial Chaos Sect who did it. Could it be that our Shiyuan sect did it ourselves?" Just as chaos broke out, there was a loud bang. Everyone was stunned by this loud bang. Everyone looked in the direction where the loud bang had come from. They saw rocks rolling down from a small mountain peak in the distance, emitting black smoke. It was obvious that many talismans had exploded. Everyone was shocked. Who had done this? Just as everyone was feeling bewildered, a soft child's voice said, "A bunch of idiots. The nightmare race has just stopped, and you're already killing each other? Is that a head or a bun on your neck?" Following the voice, a large chopping board flew over from afar. On it stood a little girl that was carved out of jade. However, the expression on her face was very cold, causing people to subconsciously ignore that it was just a little girl. Everyone looked at it and cursed. Wasn't this bad news, Yun Chujo? Didn't they say that she was missing? Where did she come from? Moreover, she actually said that they were all idiots and that there was a bun on their necks?
How dare she?
Was she crazy? Master Bailey and Master Xiahou's expressions were also very ugly. They were already filled with anger. Now that Yun Chujia's words were like adding oil to a fire, they naturally didn't have any good expressions. Master Bailey took a deep breath and said, "Yun Chujiu, Seeing that you are young and ignorant, I will not pursue your crime of speaking without rhyme or reason. Your spiritual power is too low. Why don't you hurry back to the primordial chaos sect? At this time, Yun Chujio had already flown above the crowd. This guy was sitting on the chopping board and did not jump down. She snorted slightly and said, "My identity is a bit special. Do you think I am a member of the primordial chaos sect or the murderous sect? When you fight, do I still have to stare with my left eye and right eye, hit my right hand with my left hand, and kick my right foot with my left foot?" Master Bailey paused for a moment, then he said, "Since your identity is special, don't get involved in the matters of our two sections. Moreover, you're just a small inner sect disciple. How can you have the right to speak? Why don't you hurry back to the Chaos Origin sect?" Sigh. We can't go back. You guys probably don't know, right? It was because you idiots were instigated by others to sow discord, and then began to rebel against each other. Taking advantage of the critical moment when you guys went crazy here, the Divine Devil Hall has already occupied the Chaos Origin sect and the Murder Origin sect. Now you guys could fight to your heart's content. After all, there was no sect left. It would be better if all of you were dead. That's right. Even if all of you were not dead, when the Nightmare Clan and the Divine Devil Hall joined forces, you guys would still be dead. Sooner or later, you guys would have to die. You guys might as well fight in pairs. Just strangle each other to death. Yun Chuju said coldly, while hugging her shoulders. What? The Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect had already been taken over by the Divine Devil Hall? Could they really have fallen into the Divine Devil Hall scheme? Master Bailey and Master Zayaha's faces immediately turned pale. Their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. Both of them took out their voice transmission talismans and trembled as they sent voice transmission talismans to the people left behind. Master Bailey, Zhua, Mountain Master Zhua, are you still alive? The Chaos Origin sect has really been taken over by the Divine Devil Hall? Mountain Master Zhua was confused. Sect Master, what are you talking about? The Chaotic Origin clan is as usual. How are things over there? Master Bailey, Mountain Master Zhao, are you still breathing? The Killing Origin clan has really been taken over by the Divine Demon Hall? The lively Mountain Master Zhao, Sect Master, are you cursing me? Don't you see the people from the Divine Demon Hall? Has the victor been decided? Master Xiaoho. Master Bailey and Master Xiaoho let out a long sigh. Then, their faces turned ashen. This Yun Chujio was going to fly into the sky. Fuck, alright, she's floating in the sky now. The two of them gritted their teeth and looked at He Xinju in the sky almost at the same time. Yun Chujio, how dare you lie to us? What are your intentions? Yun Chujio said unhurriedly, are you angry? Why do you sound like you want what I said to be true? Do you want the Divine Devil Hall to occupy the Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect? Master Bailey and Master Xiaoho were insulted.
Of course, they did not mean it that way.
They were only tricked by He Xinjiu for a moment. Alright, you guys should hurry back to your respective sects now. Otherwise, what I said will immediately become true. You guys aren't 3-year-old children. Can't you see the tricks behind it? Little Bailey, little Xiaoho, you guys can be considered to have known each other for many years. Don't you know each other? Would either of you make such a stupid decision to kill each other's disciples? As long as the Primordial Murder Sect and the Primordial Chaos Sect went to war, there would be no absolute victory between the two of you, only mutual destruction. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you now. Little Bailey and little Xiaoho, you can stay. I have something to tell you. The rest of you, quickly scram back to your respective sects. If you continue to dawdle, you will be the sinners of the Primordial Chaos Sect and the Primordial Murder Sect, the sinners of the Immortal Origin Continent, the sinners of the human race. Hurry up and scram. Whoever finds a fucking reason not to go back now, or insists that the other party is the murderer, blah, 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 he is a spy of the Divine Devil Hall. I will kill him now. Yun Chujia's little face was as cold as ice. Her eyes were full of murderous intent. Everyone was somewhat dumbfounded. Firstly, they were shocked by the content of Yun Chujia's words, and secondly, it was because of Yun Chujia's high and mighty tone. Little Bai Li? Little Xiaohou? What kind of pretense was she putting on? Yun Chuzhou gave Alliance Master Yan a look. Alliance Master Yan nodded his head in confusion and quickly came forward to say, "Two sect masters, what little Zhou said makes sense. No matter what, you should let your people return to the sect first. Even if you want to fight to the death, it doesn't have to be today. If you really let the Divine Devil Hall take advantage of it, that would be terrible." In fact, when Master Bailey and Master Xiaohou had been persuaded by Alliance Master Yan, they had already wavered. They were not fools. They always felt that the recent events were somewhat inexplicable. However, there were too many voices calling for a fight around them. In addition to the long-standing grudges, they had braced themselves to fight. The two of them looked at each other and snorted coldly. They ordered to return to the sect first.
Wait.
Martial nephew Xiaohou, don't tell me that you've been persuaded by this little girl with just a few words? Not only did the Primordial Chaos sect kill hundreds of our disciples, they also poisoned the four of us. Are we just going to let it go? Are we going to swallow our anger and swallow our anger? Are we going to return with our tails between our legs? Master Xiaohou looked at the person who spoke with a troubled expression and said, "Martial Uncle Gui, although Yun Chujia's attitude isn't good, she's right. If the Divine Devil Hall takes advantage of this, we are simply the sinner of the Primordial Chaos sect. As for the Primordial Chaos sect, there will be plenty of time in the future. We will not let this matter go so easily. Sooner or later, we will seek justice." Elder Gui snorted, "There will be plenty of time in the future? If we go back like this, there is no guarantee that our disciples will not be assassinated again. Moreover, that wretched girl is not from the Divine Devil Hall. She said that the Divine Devil Hall will take advantage of the situation and take advantage of it?" When the people of the Shi Yuan sect heard Elder Gui's words, they became restless again. Master Xiaohu's face showed a troubled expression. Although he was the leader of a sect, the hearts of the people were with him. If he went against them, he might cause trouble. Elder Gui's eyes flashed with pride. So, what if Xiahou Lin was the leader? At the crucial moment, his words did not count. "Little Yan, bring some men and kill him." Yun Chujiu stood on the chopping board and said coldly,
Little Yan? Who was Little Yan?
Who was Yun Chujiu calling? Also, who was she going to kill? Could it be that she was going to kill Elder Gui? What a joke. Yan Zhengdao, did you not hear what I said? I said before that whoever deliberately tried to sow discord would be someone from the Divine Demon Hall. As the Grand Elder of the Murder Origin sect, that old man didn't try to cause trouble but instead started it. One look and you could tell that he wasn't a good person.
Kill him.
What are you looking at me for? You're the Alliance Master of the Heaven's Legacy Alliance. The Alliance Master is already sullen enough to do this to you. If you don't want people to be plunged into misery and the Immortal Essence Continent to be destroyed in an instant, then kill him for me. Yun Chujiu pointed at Alliance Master Yan and said, "Alliance Master Yan, Little Yan?" He was the Grand Alliance Master of the Sky-Bearing Alliance, and his name was Little Yan? What a joke. Besides, although he was the Alliance Master of the Sky-Bearing Alliance, he didn't dare to kill the Grand Elder of the Murder Yuan sect in public. Wasn't this going against the Murder Yuan sect? Elder Gui was stunned at first. Then he looked at Yun Chujiu viciously and said, "Yun Chujiu, you are just an inner disciple. How can you spout nonsense here? I will kill you today to clean up the sect." As Elder Gui spoke, he summoned his immortal sword and flew towards Yun Chujiu. His purpose was obvious. He wanted to kill Yun Chujiu.
Io.
What happened? Am I right? You are a spy of the Divine Devil Hall. What poison? It was all self-made and self-acted by you. Now you want to kill me, when you are desperate? Dream on. Do you think everyone is a fool? Can't you see your true colors? Yun Chujiu shouted as she placed the chopping board next to Master Bailey. She didn't believe that Master Bailey would just watch her be slapped to death. Sure enough, Master Bailey blocked Elder Guei. Elder Guei looked at Yun Chujio, who was hiding behind Master Bailey, and gritted his teeth. Ignorant Junior, today I will make the decision to expel you from the murderous Yuan sect. If you ever step into the murderous Yuan sect again, I will kill you without mercy. Who are you calling a junior? You are the fucking junior. I am your ancestor. Yun Chujio pointed at Elder Guei with one hand on her waist and said. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio, who was not even as tall as Master Bailey's waist, and felt that it was both infuriating and ridiculous. This little girl must be crazy. Yun Chujio saw that Master Bailey, Master Xiahou, and Alliance Master Yan did not move, so she gritted her teeth. She took out 2 simple rings from her storage ring. I was originally very low-key. I didn't want to expose my hidden identity. Since you guys are so disobedient, I, the little ancestor, can only go online. Take a look at what this is. These are the sect leader rings of the Primordial Chaos sect and the Murderous Origin sect that my 2 masters passed on to me. I am the last disciple of Patriarch Yuan Tian and Patriarch Han Yuan. There was a dead silence at first, and then there was an uproar. Haha, that troublemaker is really crazy. She is the last disciple of Patriarch Yuan Tian and Patriarch Han Yuan? Damn, I am dying of laughter. Exactly, this troublemaker is really greedy. 1 is not enough, but she is the last disciple of 2 patriarchs. Does she still have any face? She isn't even a successor disciple now, and she said she is the last disciple of 2 patriarchs? She is really shameless. She got 2 broken rings and said she is the last disciple of 2 patriarchs. Does she think we are all idiots? And Lin Chuan moved to Yun Chujio's side and tugged at her. He said in a low voice, Junior sister Xiao Ju, stop fooling around. If this matter is blown up, there will be no way to end it. Yun Chujio glanced at him. 19th generation grand disciple, get lost. And Lin Chuan, this guy must have possessed some acting talent, right? 19th generation grand disciple? She had a pretty good calculation. Master Bailey and Master Xiahou stared at the ring on Yun Chujio's hand and turned pale with fright. Although they had never seen the sect leader's ring, they had seen the design of the sect leader's ring. This was exactly the same as what was recorded in the sect's annals. Yun Chujio handed the ring to the 2 of them generously. Little Xiahou, little Bai Li, take a look for yourself and see if this is the sect leader's ring.
Sigh.
If I had to say, it was my 2 masters who had a brilliant plan. This time, I was accidentally tricked by a treacherous person. After my 2 masters saved me, they told me that I must promote the harmonious coexistence between the 2 sects. They were originally brothers, but they fought for such a long time because of a moment of anger. They were simply too stupid. They even taught me the songs that they had composed together. I'll sing it for you to listen to. The rolling Yangtze River flows eastward, and the waves wash away the heroes. Right and wrong, success or failure, the green mountains are still there, and a few sunsets are red, although everyone thought that Yun Chujio sounded like she was speaking the truth, and her singing sounded very serious. But how is this possible? Would the 2 patriarchs really accept her as their last disciple? Elder Guei stared at the ring on Master Xiahou's hand. He snorted coldly. Yun Chujio, none of us here have seen the sect master's ring. How can we prove that the ring you took out is real? Maybe you copied it according to the records in the sect's annals. And that song was weird. Maybe you made it up. Made it up? I met 2 masters on Mount Budian. It's a pity that my 2 masters have seen through the mortal world and refuse to come out with me no matter what. Otherwise, why would I let you, a bastard, jump around here? I would have killed you long ago. However, my 2 masters have opened my 8 extraordinary meridians and 720 acupoints in my body. I am now at the first level of the spiritual void tier. Take a look if you don't believe me. Everyone saw that the level of the spiritual energy in He Xinjia's body soared rapidly. Very soon, She had changed from the 6th level of the spiritual profound tier to the 1st level of the spiritual void tier. Everyone was in an uproar. My God! Yun Chujio is most likely telling the truth. Otherwise, how could a person's spiritual energy have improved so much in just a few days? That's right. In the entire world, only Patriarch Yuan Tian and Patriarch Hon Yuan have such abilities. Previously, that Yun Chujio went missing for so many days. Perhaps she really fell into the secret realm of the Budian Mountain. It is said that the two patriarchs did indeed enter the Budian Mountain in the end. Master Bailey and Master Xiaohou also believed 70% of it. They felt that although Yun Chujio was not interesting, she still did not have the courage to tell such a big lie. Elder Gui's face was gloomy. A sudden increase in spiritual power might not be a fortuitous encounter. I heard that the Divine Devil Hall has a pill that can allow people to increase their spiritual power in a short period of time. Could it be that you have been missing for so many days, but in fact, you have joined the Divine Devil Hall? Just as Elder Gui finished speaking, some people started to jeer, saying that Yun Chujio was lying, that she was from the Divine Devil Hall, and so on. Are you out of your mind? Even if you want to frame me, you have to find a more reliable reason. Your Divine Devil Hall can't wait to burn my bones and scatter my ashes. How can you bribe me? I'm too lazy to waste my time with you. Aren't you just trying to stall for time so that your Divine Devil Hall can take over the Chaos Origin Sect and the Murder Origin Sect? Fortunately, my divine plan has already brought a witness. Well, to be exact, it's evidence. Yun Chujio raised her chin and said proudly. Witness? Corroborating evidence? Everyone was dumbfounded. How could there be a witness? Other than the two ancestors, how could there be a witness? Elder Gui revealed a contemptuous expression. This Yun Chujio was simply spouting nonsense. It was impossible for her to have a witness. As long as he insisted that the two sect leader rings were fake, regardless of the final outcome, he could at least delay for a period of time. By then, he would have succeeded.
Clang. Clang.
After two loud bangs, a stone pai xiao and a stone lion were placed in front of everyone by Yun Chujio. Everyone cried out in surprise. Oh my God! Isn't this the guardian stone beast of their primordial chaos sect?
Fuck.
It really is a real proof. How did he get this bad news bag? Tell them, are my two sect leader rings real or not? Yun Chujio placed her small hands behind her back and said pretentiously. Sherpicio said eagerly, of course it's real. They are all blind. They can't even recognize the sect leader ring. Sher Lion echoed, that's right. Who can imitate such a high-class ring? Besides, we can testify that this sect leader ring is real. This little fairy is your ancestor. Everyone, what exactly did Yun Chujio do to these two stone beasts? Why didn't they look like Pai Xiao and the lion, but more like pugs? However, with the testimony of the guardian stone beasts, everyone finally believed Yun Chujio's words. It seemed that she was indeed the last disciple of the two ancestors. Little Dong, Little Nan, I order you to capture this Gui. I want to interrogate him. Yun Chujio pointed at Gui and ordered. The stone pai xiao and the stone lion rarely had the chance to show their skills. Hearing Yun Chujio's order, they immediately threw themselves at Gui. Although they were stone beasts, their spiritual power was higher than that of everyone present. Otherwise, He Xinjiu would not have used sweet words to lure these two to help. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Little Xiaohou, Little Baili, Little Yan, don't just stand there. Attack together. Finish the battle as soon as possible. The three little generation looked at each other, smiled bitterly, and then joined the battle. At first, Elder Gui still quibbled, but later, he was forced to the point that he had no strength to fight back. He could only grit his teeth and persevere with an ashen face. Seeing that things were not going well, his eyes flashed and he had just bit his finger when he heard Yun Chujio stretching her neck and shouting, he wants to use the secret technique of the resurrection lily. Don't let him succeed. Shirpishio gave Elder Gui's spiritual energy shield a claw, and the spiritual energy shield was instantly broken. The stone lion did not want to be outdone, and opened its bloody mouth towards Elder Gui's head. Elder Gui was so scared that he hurriedly dodged. Behind him, Master Bailey gave him a palm strike on his back. In less than 15 minutes, Elder Gui's spiritual energy was restrained, and he was brought in front of Yun Chujio. Little Xiaohou, don't talk nonsense with him. Just use the soul-searching technique. Don't worry, he is already half dead. He can't resist your soul-searching technique. Master Xiaohou saw that Elder Gui wanted to use the secret technique of the Resurrection Lily, so he no longer doubted Yun Chujio's words. He immediately used the soul-searching technique on Elder Gui. Unfortunately, as soon as Master Xiaohou's spiritual sense entered, Elder Gui bled to death from all 7 orifices. Apparently, Elder Gui's spiritual soul was forbidden. While everyone was stunned, Yun Chujio put her little paws on her back and said with her little legs, "That's enough. The most important thing now is to hurry back to the sect. As for the other matters, I have my own arrangements." My ancestor? Everyone felt a bit of a headache when they heard this title. However, what this fellow said was not wrong. She was really their ancestor. Master Bailey and Master Xiaohou did not have the mood to think too much about whether this ancestor was their ancestor or not. They immediately brought their own people back to the sect. Alliance Master Yen thought for a moment and asked the people of the sky-bearing alliance to station outside the Primordial Chaos sect. He then followed Master Bailey into the Primordial Chaos sect. The reason why Alliance Master Yen chose the Primordial Chaos sect was very simple. Before the ancestor left, he said to him, "Little Yen, follow me to the Primordial Chaos sect. When I investigate the matter, you will also be a witness." Alliance Master Yen recalled the first time he met Yun Chujio. At that time, the little girl was very obedient. He did not expect that she would turn into a little ancestor who was posturing. It was simply a trick of fate. After arriving at the mountain gate of the Hunyuan sect, Yun Chujio did not put down the stone Pai Xiao. This fellow was very shrewd. She was afraid that someone would find trouble with her if they were not satisfied. With these 2 stone beasts, she would at least have more protection. Anyway, there was still one at the gate. She would just treat it as a shift for them. As He Xinjiu had a high seniority, this fellow was the first to enter the sect on a giant rabbit. Everyone followed behind her with a conflicted expression. As soon as everyone entered the mountain gate, Mountain Master Zhua, Mountain Masterin, and the others came out to welcome them. Mountain Masterin saw Yun Chujio on top of the giant rabbit. He immediately shouted sternly, "Yun Chujio, why are you, a mere inner sect disciple, walking in front of the sect master and Alliance Master Yen? Also, the disciple on duty reported that you kidnapped a stone Pishio. Aren't you going to hand it over quickly?" Mountain Master Yen had always been biased against Yun Chujio. He felt that it was because of her that Lin Chuan had always been against him. Although he had improved a little later on, he still felt a little displeased. Yun Chujio sat on the giant rabbit and glanced at Mountain Master Yen. "Little Yen, why are you talking to me? 19th generation great disciple, and Lin Chuan, come here. How should we punish our Hunyuan sect for disrespecting our elders?" And Lin Chuan's heart was on the verge of collapse. "Junior sister Little Jiu, no, Little Jiu, I know that you are venting your anger for me, but can we not do this? That is my biological father." Master Bailey was afraid that Yun Chujio would stir up any more trouble. He quickly said from the side, "Mountain Master and Mountain Master Zhua, Little Jiu, Little Yun is the last disciple of Forefather Yuan Tian and Forefather Hong Yuan, so he should be ahead of us." Mountain Master and Mountain Master Zhua, the people behind them, this world was so wonderful. In just half a day, this bad news bag had turned from a thief who stole the stone Pishio into their little ancestor Yin. "Sect Master, how is this possible? Have we been deceived by her again?" Mountain Master and said with a dumbfounded expression. She has the sect master rings of the two forefathers in her hands, and it has been verified by the guardian stone beast. It is indeed true. Master Bailey said. Master Bailey was also very helpless, okay? He was also very confused, okay? Who would want such a little ancestor to suddenly appear? And it was the kind of ancestor who would stir up trouble every few days. Forget it. This ancestor is magnanimous. I won't argue with you juniors. Well, this ancestor has been running around for half a day and is very tired. This ancestor will go back to the sleeping hall to rest first. You guys play by yourselves. Tomorrow morning, I'll give you guys a lecture. After Hei Xinjie said that, she rode on the giant rabbit and disappeared without a trace. The messy crowd in the wind. Sleeping palace? You fucking call a broken courtyard a sleeping palace? They play by themselves? Lecture? This guy was so smug that he wanted to stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. Although everyone felt that Hei Xinjie's smug look deserved a beating, when they thought of their reckless actions this time, their faces burned. Although they were not 100% sure that this incident was caused by the Divine Devil Hall, there was a 90% chance that they had fallen into a trap. It was simply too embarrassing. On the other side, Hei Xinjie had just entered the courtyard when she saw Meng Yanshou leading the other 4 rabbits in the courtyard to obediently stand in a line to welcome her. Little Fairy, it's great that you've returned safely. I knew that Little Fairy would be blessed with great fortune and good fortune. She'll definitely be fine, Meng Yanshou came over and said eagerly. Yun Chujiu glanced at it. I wasn't here during this period of time. You didn't do anything good, right? Meng Yanshou shook its head guiltily. Little Fairy, I've already changed my ways. Besides, I'm a woman now. Why would I peep at a female disciple taking a bath? After Meng Yanshou finished speaking, Sambin's mouth twitched. Oh no, there was no silver here. Yun Chujiu kicked Meng Yanshou away. You dumbass. Looks like I have to turn you into a toad, or else you'll always be a hoodlum, a rabbit. Meng Yanshou almost lost half of his life from the kick. He said with a trembling voice, Little Fairy, I can make up for it. I didn't peep at you bathing for nothing. I've made a big discovery. Yun Chujiu squinted her eyes. What big discovery? Meng Yanshou laughed a few times. Then he said, Recently, when we peeked at the female disciples taking a bath, we also watched a few hot and passionate performances. From their conversation, we learned that a few of them were spies from the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Chujiu was stunned. She didn't ask why Meng Yanshou didn't tell Master Bailey and the others about this information. The reason was very simple. If Meng Yanshou were to rashly inform them, Master Bailey might not believe it. Most likely, these rabbits would be silenced, and Meng Yanshou's identity would be exposed. Meng Yanshou was very smart. Naturally, it wouldn't do such a stupid thing. Tell me, what did they say?
Who are they?
Damn it. Why didn't you come find me for so long? I missed you so much. Shut up. Tell me the main point. Yun Chujiu was so angry that she wanted to kick Meng Yanshou to death. This guy was getting more and more wretched. Meng Yanshou smiled embarrassedly and quickly told her the important things. After saying that, he took credit for it to Yun Chujiu. Little Fairy, I told you that I was spying on them and watching them take a bath. You didn't believe me? Now do you believe me? Yun Chujiu didn't have time to pay attention to it. She told Master Bailey the names of the people that Meng Yanshou told her through the identity jade token. She told him to immediately control these people and interrogate them. She thought for a moment and asked Master Bailey to arrest Lu Shun again. This time, she was in a dangerous situation. It must be Lu Shun's doing. After Yun Chujiu finished giving her instructions, she placed the stone Paixio behind the courtyard and the stone lion in front of the courtyard. Then, she let Meng Yanshou lead a few rabbits to patrol. After that, she washed up briefly and sat on the headboard to ponder about this matter. Actually, it wasn't the right time to expose her identity. After all, She was only at the first layer of the spiritual void tier, and her strength was still too weak. However, if she hadn't revealed her identity at that time, it would have been difficult to stop the conflict between the two factions. It seemed that she would have to be extra careful in the future. This was also why she kept calling her ancestors so high-profile. As more people paid attention to her, those who wanted to make a move would have to be wary. Just as Yun Chujio was pondering over it, the Meng Yanshou came in eagerly. "Little fairy, I've asked a Zhuang and the others to keep an eye on it. Let me have a chat with you." Yun Chujio was well aware of the Meng Yanshou's purpose. It must be that the female rabbit's body was inconvenient to use, so it took the opportunity to beg her. Sure enough, the Meng Yanshou rambled on for a while, then said slyly, "Little fairy, I've done a meritorious deed this time. Can you help me change the male rabbit shell?" Yun Chujio glanced at it. "Those are all male rabbits. It'll give you the body of a female rabbit. Won't it be convenient for you to communicate with each other?" Meng Yanshou suddenly felt that the world was spinning. Oh God, this black-hearted little girl was so vicious. She actually wanted those stupid rabbits to take away its tens of thousands of years of virginity? Oh God, she was the most vicious woman. Meng Yanshou revealed a sorrowful and indignant expression. "Little fairy, I didn't think that you were actually such a little fairy. To think that I was afraid for you. To think that I couldn't eat or sleep well because of your disappearance. You actually treated me like this. I don't want to live anymore." Meng Yanshou was about to hit the wall and commit suicide when Yun Chujio faintly said, "You hit it. I can help you change into a toad shell." Meng Yanshou, damn it. He couldn't live anymore. No wonder Xingzun, that 10,000-year-old single dog, was trapped by her. This guy simply ate people without spitting out their bones. Meng Yanshou squeezed out a smile. "Little fairy, I was just joking. By the way, you have been missing for such a long time. Where did you go?" Yun Chujio didn't go against Meng Yanshou this time. She simply told him what happened. Back then, after Yun Chujio entered the library, she took the jade token that Lu Shun had given her and placed it in the groove at the entrance of the second floor. She had thought that she would be teleported to the second floor of the library. Who would have thought that a blinding white light would come? When Yun Chujio regained her sight, she realized that she was in the middle of a raging fire. Fortunately, she had the fire-repelling pearl. Otherwise, she would have been burned to ashes by now. She looked around and found that she was in the middle of a volcano, surrounded by boiling lava. While Yun Chujio was watching, the little flame impatiently jumped out of her right palm and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yun Chujio knew that the little flame must have gone to look for the fire marrow. Usually, there would be fire marrow in places with volcanoes, but the difference was the age. Yun Chujio finally climbed out of the volcano after a long time. A few days later, when the little flame was full, she left the volcano. After walking for a few days, she finally met a few cultivators when she arrived at a valley. Yun Chujio quickly rode the giant rabbit to the front of those people and asked about this place. Unexpectedly, those cultivators looked at each other and then revealed a malicious look. "Little girl, where are your parents? Did you get separated from your family?" Yun Chujio blinked her big eyes.
Yes.
"I'm lost. Can you uncles take me out of here and help me find my parents?" "Of course. As long as you are obedient, they'll give you candy." A cultivator with a pointy mouth and monkey cheeks handed Yun Chujio an oil paper bag. Yun Chujio happily took the oil paper bag and said with a smile, "Well, Little Flower likes candy the most." The few of them revealed a smile of success. This little girl was too gullible. However, what did a 3- or 4-year-old little girl know? This little girl was so pretty. If she was sold in a furnace, a tripod, or a restaurant, she would definitely fetch a good price. Yun Chujio ate the sugar balls and followed the few cultivators out of the valley. "Uncles, Why haven't you found my father and mother? Hei Xinjiu tilted her head and asked anxiously. Little girl, we will take you to the city to find your father and mother. You will see them soon. The man with the pointy mouth and monkey cheeks said perfunctorily. Yun Chuju nodded gratefully. You are really good people. Good people will be rewarded. I heard that if you do something bad, you will be struck by lightning. Please don't do anything bad. Those few people curled their lips. Struck by lightning? If they were struck by lightning after doing something bad, they would have died hundreds of times.
Boom.
A bolt of lightning descended from the sky and struck the monkey-faced man. Although he was not seriously injured, it almost scared him to death. The faces of the few of them turned pale. Could it be that they were really going to suffer retribution? No, this must be a coincidence. They were about to enter the city. As long as they made a move on this child, they would be able to obtain tens of thousands of high-grade spirit stones. At worst, they could just finish this job and quit in the future. In the end, greed triumphed over fear, and the few of them brought Yun Chujiu into the city. Yun Chujiu pondered in her heart. Her crow's mouth skill was sometimes effective and sometimes not. So far, she had not found the reason. What exactly was the reason for it? When she came back to her senses, the few of them had already brought her to a place called Spring Joy Restaurant. The corner of Yun Chujiu's eyes twitched. Furnace, cauldron, and restaurant? Wasn't this the brothel in the eyes of cultivators? Were they planning to sell her here? The madam was a gorgeous woman. When she saw Yun Chujiu's appearance, she was immediately stunned and returned to normal in an instant. Others did not notice the change in the woman's expression, but Hei Xinjiu saw it clearly. Her heart thumped. Could she be a member of the Divine Devil Hall? The woman bargained with those people and finally bought Yun Chujiu for 30,000 high-grade spirit stones. Yun Chujiu looked at the backs of those cultivators and her eyes flashed. She had already poisoned their food. These people would not live past tonight. Little girl, where are you from? Did you get lost with your parents? Lin Yang asked in a gentle tone. Yun Chujiu saw that there was a probing look in her eyes, but there was no malice. She thought of something and said, My maternal family is the Mo family of Fengli City in the Western continent. It was because of my mischievousness that I got lost with them. The Mo family of Fengli City? You said you are a member of the Mo family of Fengli City? Lin Yang suddenly raised her voice. Yun Chujiu blinked her big eyes and asked curiously, Aunt, do you know me? Lin Yang was obviously lost in her own thoughts and ignored Yun Chujiu's question. After a while, she muttered to herself, Impossible. They don't match at this age. Could it be? Could it be? Little girl, your mother. No, what's your grandfather's name? Lin Yang asked nervously. Mo Chung. My great-grandfather's name is Mo Shouting. Yun Chujiu replied crisply. Lin Yang immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. It's really Sister Lan's granddaughter. This means that her daughter really didn't die. Yun Chujiu's heart skipped a beat. Sister Lan? Did this Lin Yang know her mother? Since Lin Yang said that she really didn't die, then there must be something else going on. Her mother must have said something to her. Could it be that Lin Yang was her mother's friend? Yun Chujiu was faintly excited. Could it be that her mother was not dead? Yun Chujiu pretended to be curious and asked, Aunt, who is Sister Lan? Is she Xiao Hua's grandmother? Lin Yang came back to her senses and said perfunctorily, Nothing. You're called Xiao Hua? Don't call me Aunt, call me. Lin Yang was very troubled. Could it be that she wanted this little guy to call her Aunt? Could it be that Aunt wants me to call you elder sister? Aunt is so young and beautiful. You can also call me elder sister. Hei Xinjiu tilted her little head and suddenly said with big eyes. There was no woman who did not like being praised for being young and beautiful. Lin Yang was coaxed by Yun Chujiu until she could not close her mouth. Then call me Aunt. Little girl, what are the names of your mother and father? When did your mother return to the Mo residence? After Lin Yang finished speaking, she felt that it was inappropriate to ask. This little girl was only 3 or 4 years old. How could she possibly know how her mother returned to the Mo residence? Unexpectedly, the little girl said crisply, "My mother's name is Yun Chujio. My father's name is Di Baiming. My mother was brought back by the Mo family. I heard my mother say that my grandmother's name is Yilan. The sister-in-law you mentioned must be my grandmother, right? My mother never believed that my grandmother was dead. It seems that my grandmother is really still alive." "That's great." Lin Yang was stunned by Yun Chujio's words. Was this a 3 or 4-year-old child? She was practically a demon. However, Sister Lan was such a brilliant person. It was understandable that her granddaughter was so smart. "Aunt, where is my grandmother? Take Xiaohua to see her." Yun Chujio held Lin Yang's hand with her little claws and begged. Lin Yang's eyes reddened. She squatted down and hugged He Xinjiu. She sobbed and said, "Your grandmother has been taken away. You will probably never see her again." Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. Was she taken away? Didn't she say she was dead? Why was she taken away again? Although Yun Chujio really wanted to reveal her identity, she felt that it was better to observe and make sure that Lin Yang was reliable. Lin Yang wanted to post the missing person notice, but was stopped by Yun Chujio. "Auntie, my mother and father have many enemies. If they know that I'm here, we will all die. I have my own way to contact them. Auntie, don't worry." Lin Yang saw that she was a shrewd person, so she let her be. In the next few days, Yun Chujio stayed at Chuanchi House. Only then did Yun Chujio know that the place she was at was over 1,000,000 miles away from the primordial chaos sect, and it was very remote. No wonder Lin Yang did not have any reaction when she heard her name. One had to know that she Yun Chujio could be considered a big figure now. Lin Yang cared about Yun Chujio very much. Yun Chujio tried to get information from her several times, but Lin Yang rejected her because she was too young. She said that she could only tell her when her mother came. Yun Chujio, damn it. She had dug a hole for herself. There was no other way. After a few days, when Yun Chujio found out that Lin Yang was really reliable, she revealed her identity. Of course, Lin Yang didn't believe it at first. How could a living person turn into a little girl? Yun Chujio could only briefly explain what happened after she returned to the Mo family and how she became the Yi family's daughter-in-law. After a lot of proof, Lin Yang finally believed Yun Chujio's words. "Aunt Li, don't be angry with me. I've offended too many people, so I have to be careful," Yun Chujio said in a flattering manner. Lin Yang patted her little head and sighed. "You're smart. You're indeed Sister Lan's daughter." Yun Chujio then asked, "Aunt Li, what exactly happened back then? Everyone in the Mo family said that my mother died of illness. However, when I discovered that the grave had been stolen, I had some doubts in my heart. Humph. How could those idiots from the Mo family be a match for Sister Lan? Sister Lan nearly used a golden cicada to escape from her shell. Sister Lan had taken a medicine that could cause a state of suspended animation. After she was buried, I waited until everyone had left before I rescued your mother." Yun Chujio saw that Lin Yang's face was filled with admiration like a fangirl. The corners of her eyes twitched. She did not expect Lin Yang to be her mother's little fangirl. "Aunt Li, I still don't understand. Why did my mother marry Mo Chung?" Lin Yang looked at Yun Chujio worriedly. "Little Joe, there's something you might not know. You're actually not Mo Cheng's child." Lin Yang was afraid that Yun Chujio would suffer a blow. Even if Mo Chung was no longer a thing, he was still much better than an illegitimate daughter. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio clapped happily. "Really? That was simply too good. I was wondering how that bastard could be my father. Then why did my mother marry Mo Chung? Who on earth is my father? To be able to give birth to such a smart and intelligent daughter like me with my mother, he must be very powerful." The corner of Lin Yang's mouth twitched. Was she praising her father or herself? "I don't know who your father is either. Sister Lan didn't tell me this. The reason why Sister Lan married Emo Chung back then was because after she became pregnant, her spiritual power started to weaken, and it was becoming more serious. She was a single woman, and she was afraid that the Yi family and Fan family would chase after her, so she could only agree to Emo Cheng's proposal. However, she had told Emo Chung beforehand that they were only in name, and they gave Emo Chung a lot of spirit tools and pills as compensation. Emo Chung probably took a liking to Sister Lan's beauty and thought that after a long time, he could fake it and do it for real. Secondly, he also got some benefits, so he readily agreed, Lin Yang said to Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou thought about Emo Cheng's actions. Every time he mentioned her mother, he would call her a bitch. He looked so angry that he must have wanted to put on a real show but was rejected by her mother. What happened after that? How could I be separated from my mother? Lin Yang sighed. The day Sister Lan gave birth to you was supposed to be a beautiful day. Who would have thought that the moment you were born, there would suddenly be wind and rain, lightning and thunder. Moreover, the lightning that struck that day was purple. Sister Lan watched helplessly as you suddenly disappeared. Even the little quilt on her body disappeared along with you. Sister Lan fainted on the spot. Because of your loss, Sister Lan's health had not been very good until half a year later. She knew that she could not count on the Mo family to find you, so she thought of a way to fake her death. Then, she left the Mo family to find your whereabouts. She had always believed that you did not die prematurely. Lin Yang looked at Yun Chuzhou with a gratified look and then continued. After that, your mother successfully left the Mo family. After disguising herself, she brought me around to look for you. But where can I find you in such a vast sea of people? Just like that, your mother and I searched for you for 3 years, but there was still no trace of you. Suddenly, one day, a few people appeared and chased after me and Sister Lan. Fortunately, Sister Lan was very smart and had already recovered her spiritual power by that time. She used a strategy to kill all those people one by one. Sister Lan was afraid that someone would come after her, so we ran all the way here. We thought that this place was very remote and wouldn't be found. I didn't expect that something would happen in the end. Lin Yang's body trembled slightly. It must have been a bad memory. After we settled down here, Sister Lan bought this spring festival house. I was saved by Sister Lan from the furnace, cauldron, and hall in the past, so I'm familiar with this kind of business. The reason why Sister Lan bought this spring festival house was firstly to hide her identity. After all, no one would have thought that she would hide here. Secondly, there were many guests coming and going here. It was also convenient to find out your whereabouts. We had lived a peaceful life for 2 years. We did not expect that another group of people would come one day. The spiritual power of the people who came this time was much higher than the previous group. Not to mention fighting, we could not even withstand the pressure of those people. Sister Lan knew that there was no point in resisting, so she did not say anything more and was taken away by them. From then on, I have never seen Sister Lan. Lin Yang said until here and burst into tears. After Yun Chuzhou comforted Lin Yang for a while, Lin Yang finally calmed down. Little Jiu, I think Sister Lan is still alive. If those people wanted to kill her, they would have done it then and would not have taken her away. Yun Chuzhou nodded. Aunt Li, what you said makes sense. Those people must be trying to get something from my mother, or maybe my mother has some value. I believe that my mother is still alive. I will definitely find her. Aunt Li, think about it again. Do you have any clues about what those people or my mother said? Lin Yang shook her head. Although your mother is a cheerful and open-minded person, she has never told me about your father and the background of those people. She is probably afraid that I will be implicated if I know more. Yun Chuzhou was slightly disappointed. There was no clue at all. Where could she find her mother? However, when those people threatened your mother, they seemed to have mentioned something about a low-level world like the immortal Yuan continent and something about being widowed, Lin Yang suddenly said. Yun Chuzhou frowned. A low-level world like the immortal Yuan continent? This meant that those people were definitely not from the immortal Yuan continent. They should be from the higher-level continents that Shangguan Hao and the others had mentioned. A widow? Could it be that her biological father had died? Those people had taken her mother back to celebrate the festival for her father? Yun Chujio felt that the truth of the matter seemed to be covered by layers of fog. However, no matter what, at least there was news of her mother. Yun Chujio stayed in Chuanxi House for another 2 days. Then, she politely refused Li Nyang's request to stay and hurried back to the Hunyuan sect. On the way, she heard the news that the Primordial Chaos sect and the Murder Origins sect were on bad terms. She was extremely anxious and hurried back, but it was still a little too late. This guy thought about it and could only abduct the Stone Pai Xiao and the Stone Lion. As for the method to abduct them, it was very simple. The world was so big, take them to have a look. Yun Chujio did not hide anything from the Meng Yanshou. After explaining everything, she asked, "Curly hair, what is the name of the continent that is one level higher than the immortal Origin continent?" There are many continents that are higher in level than the immortal Yuan continent. However, the nearest continent should be Towering Sky continent. Meng Yanshou thought for a while and said. Yun Chujio frowned. "Curly hair, there is something that I don't quite understand. How did these high-level continents and low-level continents form? Why are there so many continents?" Meng Yanshou pretended to walk on the ground twice before saying, "Well, you don't know. When Hundun was first created, there was only one continent between heaven and earth. Yun Chujio was stunned as she listened to Meng Yanshou's story. Meng Yanshou was obviously very pleased with itself. It wagged its short rabbit tail and continued. At that time, it was also known as the Primordial Era. There was no record of that era at all. After that, an unknown change happened. A piece of land became 2 pieces. That era was known as the Ancient Mesozoic Era. The record was also blank. That's not right, curly hair. Since there are no records, how did you know? Yun Chujio asked in confusion. Meng Yanshou said proudly, I don't know how I knew. Anyway, I knew it. It's probably because I'm good-looking. Yun Chujio almost vomited. To be so narcissistic, there was no one else. Meng Yanshou continued. Tens of thousands of years later, the 2 continents suddenly began to break apart and eventually became several continents with different levels of spiritual power. This was the last generation of the Ancient Era, which is what you humans call the Ancient Era. Divine artifacts and ancient divine beasts were also produced in the last generation of the Ancient Era. Soon after, the first great war between gods and demons broke out. After the gods and demons demarcated their territories, they lived peacefully for tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands of years later, another change occurred. The gods inexplicably began to die one by one, and in the end, not a single one was left. This made the demon extremely happy. He thought that they had finally arrived at their world. Unexpectedly, after tens of thousands of years of reproduction, the human race began to develop and grow. The demon race's attacks on several continents ended in failure. Meng Yanshou said as he vigilantly observed his own situation. He was afraid that he would be punished by the Tian Dao. However, there was nothing unusual. It seemed that these words could be said. Yun Chujio received a huge shock. It turned out that what she knew was just the tip of the iceberg. However, all the gods had been destroyed, so was it really impossible to see Chi-Chi again? When the Meng Yanshou saw Yun Chujio's distracted look, it curled its lips. TSK. No matter how powerful it was just a little girl. How could it be compared to an ancient beast like it? However, it seemed to have lost a part of its memory. Otherwise, it would be even more awesome. Just as the nightmare beast was feeling proud, it heard Yun Chujio snort coldly, curly hair. Aren't you very proud? Meng Yanshou suddenly shrunk its neck. Little fairy, what are you talking about? I will always be your beast, and will always listen to your orders. Yun Chujio glanced at it. If I want to go to the Towering Sky continent, What can you do? Little fairy, whether I have a way or not, you can't go. With your level of spiritual power, you are just an ant in the towering sky continent. You will definitely be gnawed until there are no bones left. When I went from the Qing-Xian continent to the Tianyuan continent, or from the Tianyuan continent to the immortal Yuan continent, I was just an ant. What about now? Am I not still their ancestor? Cut the crap. Just tell me how to get to the towering sky continent. Yun Chujia's eyes were full of confidence and dazzling. Meng Yanshou didn't dare to not say it. He could only say, there are two ways. One is that after your cultivation base reaches the peak of the 9th layer of the ethereal space realm, you will be teleported to the towering sky continent. The other way is to find the enchantment between the immortal Yuan continent and the towering sky continent. Through the enchantment, you can enter the towering sky continent. However, little fairy, you must not be rash. Being rash is the devil. Meng Yanshou was so regretful that its intestines turned green. If it had known this would happen, it would not have shown off in front of this little girl. If the Venerable One knew that it was the one who said it, he would definitely not spare it. Yun Chujiu glanced at Meng Yanshou, who had nothing left to live for. Don't worry. I'm only at level 1 of the spiritual void tier now. The most important thing now is to increase my spiritual power and find the antidote. I don't want to be like this forever. However, seeing that you've performed well, it'll change you into a male rabbit shell. Meng Yanshou was so happy that he could finally be a real man. Otherwise, it would be even worse than that eunuch rabbit. It would be a rabbit demon that was neither male nor female. After Yun Chujiu sent Meng Yanshou away, she pondered over her next plan. First, she had to resolve the dispute between the Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect. However, this was not a difficult matter. As long as she could find out who the traitor was, the matter would be solved. On the other hand, her identity was a problem. Those old fellows would definitely be against the sudden appearance of their ancestors from the bottom of their hearts. It was inevitable that they would find fault with her, so she had to be careful. However, with the great sword of seniority, as long as she handled it carefully, there should not be any problems. Next was the antidote. She still had to continue to go to the library of the Primordial Chaos sect to read books and strive to find the antidote as soon as possible. It would be best if she could also find a way to get rid of the Guaichao. Lastly, it was the problem of cultivation. Thinking of this, Yun Chujiu suddenly sat up from the bed. It was not a bad thing for her to become smaller. That old bastard Tian Dao did not kill her last time. Now that he knew that she had arrived at the Primordial Chaos sect, he might let the heavenly lightning strike her. She had to find a place to hide. Otherwise, she would not be able to withstand the heavenly lightning. Yun Chujiu thought about it and thought of a good place. It was the Azura prison in the forbidden area of Tianheng Peak. As for the method to seduce the Azura prison, it was very simple. She could just use the Azura spring to seduce it. After Yun Chujiu had thought these things through, she finally rested. The next day, He Xinjiu rode a giant rabbit and brought a bunch of rabbits out of the courtyard. Now, He Xinjiu's ancestral identity had already spread throughout the entire Primordial Chaos sect. Therefore, when they saw Yun Chujiu, the servants and disciples all had awkward expressions on their faces. They should greet her. They really could not call her their ancestral name. If they didn't greet her, they would be afraid that Yun Chujiu would find fault with them. Therefore, everyone avoided her from afar, as if they were avoiding the god of plague. Yun Chujiu, damn it. This wasn't how it was supposed to be played. It turned out that they despised her as a bad person, so these people ignored her. Now that she had become their ancestral, these people actually ignored her. This was really too much. The lonely and cold Master Bailey went to the meeting hall with his head drooping. Master Bailey and the others also wanted to hide, but unfortunately, they couldn't. They could only brace themselves and bow. Greetings, little ancestor Yun. Master Bailey finally enjoyed the treatment of an ancestor. He waved his hand pretentiously. No need for formalities. You kids are really too polite. Did you have a good rest last night? The corner of Master Bailey's eyes twitched violently, and he said perfunctorily, "We had a good rest. Thank you, little ancestor Yun, for your concern." Yun Chujio shamelessly sat on Master Bailey's seat and slapped the table. "It's not that I, as an elder, want to criticize you. You made such a big mistake, but you can still sleep? You guys are really big-hearted. Forget it, you guys are still young. As an elder, I won't say much about you guys. You guys should take care of yourselves. Little Bailey, what did you do about the matter that I asked you to do yesterday?" Everyone's old faces were red. They were scolded like grandchildren by a 3- or 4-year-old little girl. However, what she said was still reasonable. It was simply too shameful to see people. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.